tell them first so they could be bothered by them, you know.
Ah. Oh, well, it doesn't show signs of stopping.
Well, I would say that it didn't show signs of starting here. All right.
Yeah, link.
Would you like to actually,
Yeah.
say something?
Let me say something. I'm working.
We're working on things that could have been done ahead of time. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another live stream with Corey and Lori.
No, I should have done that here. Oh, well.
Oh, well. It doesn't matter. So, welcome to this, mostly sunny, kind of hazy, coolish, but not by most people's standards, January day.
And we can go to the webcam.
Yeah, we can. And you can see what we look like.
No! We look old!
No, you're not supposed to say that. However, you do usually want your hat. Which
No, I don't care.
Well, you don't care?
I'm not too reflective today.
No, until we turn on the lights.
The glasses, on the other hand.
Yeah, I know. The glasses,
Yeah,
that
me
means
too.
all you get to see are these glowing things. Yes. Yeah, well.
Just think of them as Joe Biden laser eyes.
I see. It's my laser eyes.
She has the power.
Terminal eyes.
I have computer glasses too. I could put mine on.
You could.
Ah!
And now you can see it.
Everything is.
Happy Saturday, Corey and Lori. Glad to see you're unaffected by the fires. Yes, indeed. We are far low. And although there were some warnings because the wind was coming this way, we didn't get hit very hard at all. Show us a picture of you guys in your younger days. We'd have to dredge that out of.
We have that black and white publicity photo from Sarah around.
No, I don't know where you'd have it. You'd have to hunt it down and kill it. Because we did have pictures. I just look at the back of the Quest for Glory box, which is, yes. Yeah, there's some, nice to see you. You should, yes, there we go. You could put the U there, and we'll do it that way. That is not an old picture, Corey.
It's 8 years old.
It's not very flattering either.
It shows that you have bazumbas.
Bazumbas, yes. I'm not necessarily. You could show
in that
it.
entire crowd. I don't know if this is show or not. Let's see.
All right, let's see.
Yep, there we go.
There we go. There's a picture from 8 years ago. Okay, when I still dyed my hair.
And among the 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 people there, only 2 of them are female.
Yeah. And only a few of those people I actually could name, okay?
Is that Chris Crawford standing next to you?
I
think so.
Yeah, probably.
That's Raph Costner
That's Raph
behind
Costner.
you. There is Tim
Schaefer.
Tim Schaefer on the left side, middle row.
Oh, I think that's Dave in the background. Dave Gilbert.
Dave where?
Dave. Gilbert?
Dave Grossman?
No, Dave Gilbert. See, he's occluded by that person, by a pretty great person.
None of those look exactly like Dave Gilbert.
Oh, well. Okay.
That may be Graham Devine on the left.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that's who we can remember.
Or the other guy, Rob Landeros. One of those two.
Yeah.
They're indistinguishable. So anyway, this is from 2018 when Game Developers Conference did a panel called Flash Backward, 30 Years of Making Games, and invited Lori as one of their guests of honor, which was pretty cool.
Yep,
We don't usually go to GDC because it's too darned expensive, and so getting to invite us for something,
okay.
we have to work.
The webcam instead of showing your computer off.
Back to the webcam. How to do that?
There, right there. Yeah.
I'm sucking on a cough drop. I was coughing a few minutes ago because I ate the wrong thing.
Yes. So other than that, what else is exciting in our news for this? We are 1 week away from MagFest, which I am looking forward to with, the same hesitations I had when they said, you want to go to a convention in the middle of winter in a place where it actually gets cold? This is a person who
Well,
has
see-
lived in Phoenix or has lived in California, where yes, it did get cold.
Yeah, but
up
she's
in
a person who
Owanee.
left Phoenix because she hated the heat. So
Yes, Owanee/Oakhurst would get cold at night, and and sometimes actually had snow on the ground for a week.
Oh, David DKI baked a focaccia bread worthy of Shima.
Ah,
Yay!
yes. Good focaccia bread doesn't survive contact with the enemy. I love
For
focaccias.
Christmas, I gave Lori a bread maker,
Yes, and I have been making a lot of breads.
and they're all delicious.
Next one I will be making is a pizza dough in it to see how well that works.
She made a sweet pumpkin bread that was almost a pumpkin cake that was quite delicious.
It was pumpkin bread, and it wasn't, well...
It was technically pumpkin bread.
Yes, it was pumpkin bread.
Yeah.
But that's a sweet bread. It's not a yeast bread, and it wasn't made in a bread machine, yes. Nice. I'm working on another sourdough loaf. I need to get some sourdough starter, because the last time I tried that, it was a disaster.
Yeah, she had one and it kind of died.
Yes, you have to, carefully nurture your sourdough starter.
Yeah.
And I just didn't actually, take care of it well enough. Happy weekend from the historic gaming district of DC. We are chasing baby crab around the house before packing for Mag. Well, we look forward to seeing you there.
Yes, when Ryan will be sharing the booth with us and helping us out.
Yes.
Helping us set up, which is a big deal because we don't do any planning for these things. But we did have a meeting.
Yes, we've had meetings, and we have got stuff, and we will be packing this week, and then we will go into freezing land and try to figure out how to stay alive.
Yeah, see, to me, Maryland, that's the South, and that's warm all the time, but apparently not. It's near District of Columbia, and
South is relative.
The inauguration of the Herald of the Beast is in 2 days, and is going to be held indoors for the first time since Reagan's second inauguration.
Because
it's
too cold there. Yeah. And I'm sure some of you already know that, and I feel for you. Not very much, because it's probably 70 degrees in here.
Mind you, I went to school for 10 or 11 years in a suburb of Philadelphia, and we had cold winters, and it was fine. Just dressed warmer in the winter.
Self-needing high hydration, right? That's great. I've seen people do those, and I have... I did try that once, actually. I did do one high hydration group that sat in the refrigerator, but it was pizza dough. And it worked really well. But
I just read one of the great secrets. If your bread is a day or two old and is, starting to get hard and a little bit stale, that you run it under the tap, get just a little bit of water on it, and then put it in the oven at, I think, 330 or 350, something like that. For a bit, and it rejuvenates it.
What they didn't say is do not try this on white bread, because all you end up with is a soggy sponge of stuff. And in fact, white bread's great for doing things like French toast casserole, because it sops all that stuff right up, and then it'll rise. But
what's that fancy bread they use for hamburgers and stuff that you did a French toast casserole with?
Oh, the one for hamburgers?
No, the one that's used for hamburger buns in high-end places.
I see. Shabbat? No.
No.
You're talking brioche?
Brioche, yes. So we had some brioche bread, and Lori turned the brioche. Very good. Thank you, Nabi. Yeah. So she turned the leftover brioche into French toast. It was really quite wonderful. Similar to King's Hawaiian bread, which is very sweet.
Yeah, and the advantage of a bread machine is it makes 1 pound to 1.5 pound loaves, and that's all we need. Otherwise bread goes stale with us.
And moldy.
And moldy. Mostly it goes moldy because it goes stale, but it isn't until it goes moldy that it gets jettisoned. We do a lot of science experiments around here.
We have now weekly compost pickup along with our trash pickup. So And for a while we thought, oh, that's terrible. You know, we don't want to leave compostable stuff in there. We had, you know, mold and all sorts of stuff. And we said, you know, that's really not a bad idea.
Yep. Hopefully enough pizza to go with those science experiments.
Lori actually offered to make a pizza yesterday, and we got some pizza ingredients. So
yeah, well, I haven't made it yet because
hasn't been made yet,
but I intend to. But that's our. We're planning for MagFest. It will be exciting, and we will give you updates on that. I am not taking my real camera for this
Really?
one, unlike normal, because I drag that camera everywhere. But since this is going to be almost entirely indoors, I will rely upon my multi-pixel phone, which most people do in this real world anyway. I'm just the...
Yeah, we got her a fancy phone a couple years ago. It's the Samsung S24 or something like that.
So yes,
And
it does
take
take
good pictures. Yeah.
It's just that I spend a lot of time. Part of the joy of photography for me is post-processing, actually getting to see those pictures and trying to enhance them so they look even better. And so I consider myself a photographic artist rather than a photographer, because I do spend a lot of time in Photoshop on them. And from now on, I don't generally make New Year's resolutions,
yeah.
but I do make, you know, New Year's commitments occasionally. And the commitment I've made, actually just today, I decided that from now on, since social media in general is becoming a bad place to be, and a kind of a cesspool full of misinformation and negativity, that I would spend more time with the community that we already have, and that's you guys in Discord. I will be posting my photos, and I will be interacting, and I will try to actually, you know, occasionally post the recipes that I do, and just in general, remember that you guys are my community, and I'm never, you know, far from it, since I'm always on a computer. So yeah, you got Kodak Insta cameras. Its lighting is the issue, really, when you're in convention centers. The lighting's no, don't show that one. Don't show that one. Do not destroy cameras and everything else.
How about this one?
No, that's not anything
That's
to
an
show.
old photo of Lori.
No, that is not an old. It's not even a. Well, it's not bad. I really
Not
like
bad.
it, but it's from the Orchid Show, so
It's
know
not very old.
it's not us.
It's not very old.
He's going through pictures because there's the one up there.
This one?
That's somebody said to see a picture. All right, there's that one, and that
Okay.
isn't that long ago.
Hats. I don't know when this is. Okay, I'll bring this up.
It says.
Desktop. Does it have a
Oh
timestamp?
no, it just has a thing. It probably has a timestamp if you bring it up in the right program. There.
So this is not too long ago.
No.
A few years ago.
And in
But
the light, my hair does look that blonde, but in this, it looks
but
like.
I think this was when our son told us that it was mandatory to do embarrassing selfies occasionally.
Yeah, so it's a few years ago.
But, that was blue wall. That was probably here.
Oh,
That was probably in that hallway back there.
maybe. I
For
don't
the
know where
bathroom.
that roof is, though. Anyway,
well.
doesn't matter. You wanted
Anyway,
to see
there's,
a picture
there's our
when we weren't
pictures.
so old, which probably isn't that long
We're still
ago.
not that old now.
Yes, we aren't.
We got a few decades left to go, but
Indeed.
or a few minutes, depending on whether the meteorite hits the house. So you just never know.
Yeah.
We do have plans to go to Tokyo in the spring with our son, who drags us off to places that we would otherwise never get to.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have some travel plans for the year.
And if we continue series of the various games, we definitely wanted to set a game in the Orient, so to speak. One in India, and I consider India, is a unique area. China's a unique area, and so is Japan.
India, China, Japan would be the big three. Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll see.
Kodak Instacameras. I had a Kodak Instamatic, which was not instant, but it was called the Instamatic when I was in high school. And I took a photo of Independence Hall in Philadelphia that I said was postcard worthy, and that was the high point of my photography career.
You had a real camera, though. You
I had a
had
real camera
real
later. I
good
got
camera.
a Minolta. I had a Minolta camera, and I got some pretty good shots with that. But
My problem is that film cameras are like, there's no reinforcement for taking photos because it took 2 weeks or so before you saw the end results, and so it wasn't very satisfying.
and now that she uses Photoshop, it takes 6 months.
Yeah, but better yet, though, I can see what I'm doing right away. It's a game changer for me, because I can see, I can adjust, I can get things just where I want them.
Important safety tip is camera raw format eats up a lot of hard drive space.
Yes.
So all the photos that we took on the Danube earlier this year, Lori had to offload to an external hard drive.
They are archived away. So here I spent most of the last year, posting on Facebook the photos that I had done. And I started with Ireland, of all things, which was one of the last vacations we took in the year because all of the good stuff from Europe got archived off. So now I have to turn around and get back to those and actually post them and process them.
Eden Waite's high school journalism class taught them how to develop film. Only had to do it once, but glad I don't have to do that regularly.
I've always wanted to do that. Honestly, you are so lucky. It's worth doing once. I agree.
I had I can't remember if it was a friend or a teacher in junior high or high school. I was doing some stuff for our school paper, I guess, and took me into the dark room, and I could, saw it, went through the process. I didn't do it myself, but it was pretty cool.
I've seen the process, but I've never actually done it. And one of my best classes in college was an education class, which was a workshop, and we all went out to a camp, literally for a weekend. The camp was run by the ASU, which is where I went. It was where they had their spring practice or something for the sports team, so it was used part of the year. And no, that's pretty ugly. And they did things all day long, but one of the things they did was...
Here's you when you get older.
Yeah, thank you, Corey. We did pinhole cameras. And spent the day making oatmeal pinhole cameras and taking pictures with that. And that was super cool. I really enjoy hands-on education. I think it's the right way to do things. And that's why I write games and things like that, because I'm really doing hands-on education.
Ansel Adams, the famous Yosemite and wildlife, wilderness photographer, actually did a lot of modifications to his photos in the dark room. Mm-hmm. So he customized them. So he really was, one of the first big Photoshop users.
Before there was Photoshop.
Long before there was Photoshop.
Yes.
His very famous photos, many of them are manipulated.
Dodging and burning, the old manual way.
Yes.
Even when it says, I used to work at a stock photography company, and they did have the dark room, by which time I worked there, it was converted into a storage room, of course. It had a special door in the sinks for photo development, yes. The dark room, it's not just a good idea. It's what you had to do, or you would destroy everything you worked upon, which, a single computer crash could, destroy everything we've ever worked for, too.
Oh, that one.
That's it. Yeah, it's pretty good, but it doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't have anything to do with this.
No, it doesn't. Again, he's looking at photographs.
All right, here's a pretty picture.
Yes.
I took that at the San Diego Botanical Garden.
At their light show last Christmas.
Christmas before last?
No, before last.
So
yes.
we didn't go last
year. We didn't go last year. We didn't go 24, but it was 23.
Anyway, photo stuff.
Mostly we're not doing photos today. Mostly we were planning on talking about, or at least I gave the name of the stream as Play Style.
Trial by Play Style.
Mostly because I wanted to play off of Trial by Something.
Trial by Fire was, of course. Here's the box.
Yes,
this won't show up, though.
It won't.
But if I bring it up,
probably not.
I don't think it'll still show up.
They show weird things.
No? Strangely, Discord will not show up in screen share.
Right, so we can't share that one. But
Anyway,
it's just a
so
box
Lori
cover.
did a box cover of
Oh,
Quest
you
for Glory.
can do this.
How about
SD
oh,
on
didn't I
break.
put it?
There.
Oh, that.
You know, the box cover.
Yeah, but that doesn't say trial
It doesn't say
trial
it,
play
but
style.
they can figure that out. Yeah.
Anyway, so it's box cover. I decided I better do a quick post on Patreon. And of course, really want
That one you can show.
Patreon works. Okay.
Yes, Patreon works.
So here's my Patreon thing, and I should, of course. Here's that particular post. We get to all Patreon from there, probably.
Yes.
So I riffed off Lori's idea and said, "Why is Quest for Glory an RPG?" Because that's what she said she meant by trial by playstyle. The playstyle is RPG as opposed to adventure game, and really it's a hybrid.
The mistake that we made, because it means that we don't get in the Hall of Fame for.
Oh yeah, we don't. We're not the best adventure game, and we're not the best role-playing game.
So we're stuck in the middle with you, but that's okay.
But fortunately, you're really great.
Uh-huh.
So I wrote about this, and I happened to mention Carly Hochstarter, who got me my interview at Sierra, which became relevant again because one of the people who worked with me at Sierra is currently job hunting and having a hard time finding anything. But then when I looked her up, I discovered that, I had actually written a similar article almost exactly a year ago on Patreon, which I don't have up anymore, but came up with, here we go, our first years at Sierra. And this was the post I did on January 26th of 2024.
Almost a year exactly.
Almost exactly a year ago. And that was when I started the Heroes Quest slow play. And that, and mentioned Carly, who passed a few months ago, so she's been gone a little over a year now. And what the first year at Sierra was like.
That's an in-depth article for
the one a year ago is much more in-depth than the latest one. You definitely should go to Patreon and check these things out
if you want to read things.
if you actually care about our history.
Yeah.
But I talked about the mechanics and why we did things a certain way.
Right.
So Ken Williams had a big meeting at Sierra with all the management.
Ooh, evil Mira. He's here. Hi there. Okay, go on.
They couldn't see the influence of Plato on Kofji. Sierra was the publisher of Ultima 2 before Richard Garriott formed Origin Systems. And they later did a game called Wrath of Tenethanor, which was a not very successful role-playing game trying to... but Ken said, basically, we own the adventure game market. We need to do role-playing games.
And that's why we...
And so that's when...
why we got there.
When Carly called us and said, hey, Ken Williams is looking for someone like you.
But that's only half the story. It's why did we do role-playing games? And, of course, it comes from Dungeons and Dragons and all that evil stuff.
Well, before that, as I mentioned in the article, we started out as kids. We always played games in our family. We were in game-oriented families. But we both basically, in our college years, discovered Dungeons and Dragons. And as I said, that was literally a game changer. Because D&D is a different kind of game than all the competitive ones we played as kids. It's one in which everybody's working together and you're doing collaborative communal storytelling. And we thought that was just awesome.
Right. But, of course, we were also playing computer games at that point, and we were playing the Wizardry series, and we were playing Dungeon Master, and the games that were all mostly hack and slash style games.
The first role-playing game I found on the computer was actually Temple of Apshai, which was an all-text role-playing adventure game that they had so little memory on the disks on CP/M computers that it actually came with a book, and instead of text they'd say 215, and then you would turn to paragraph 215 in the book and read the text to yourself.
Talk about cavemen.
That's why I say we were very lucky and blessed to get into the game industry when we did, and computers actually had the power to do graphics and
then,
lots of text.
The combat was handleable, but you couldn't get, great dialogue. You couldn't have characters, and those are what we really wanted to have. That's the thing that made it in the games for me. for why Dungeon and Dragons stole my soul, so to speak. Because becoming and being these characters was the immersion of magic and real life.
And as a naive 20-year-old, I actually wrote a letter to Gary Gygax at TSR Hobbies, I mean D&D, and or to their HR department, and said basically, I've my entire life has been taken over by Dungeons and Dragons, and so it only makes sense that I work on it now.
Well, you did something similar and almost got a job at Microsoft, so you could have done something.
Yes,
the same thing.
It might have worked. And basically, what I had using CP/M, my S100 bus homebrew computer, I had created some programs that generated monster encounters and kept track of the frequency from the from the monster manual of all the monsters and so on. And I proposed that I would make a series of Dungeon Master tools for them. And they basically said, no thanks, we're doing something like that in-house, which never really went anywhere, so they probably should have hired me.
Yep.
About the same time, I'd also written to Bill Gates at this brand new startup company called Microsoft that was doing BASIC for S100 bus computers, for CP/M computers. Gates had written a article in Datamation or one of those about the, where he saw the future of technology and computers. And I said, hey, you wrote a really great article there. That sounds great. I'd love to work for you. And I sent him my resume. And right about that time, I went up to San Jose to do some job interviews. And accepted one on the spot, which was perhaps an error because when I got back home, back then we didn't have, cell phones or internets and stuff. And my parents said, we got this phone call from this place up in Washington. It's Microsoft, something like that. And the HR department had wanted me to come up for an interview. And I never had that interview because I accepted the other job. But I could have been like employee number 20. Yeah, could have been employee number 20 and rich.
Yes.
And burned out at the age of 25.
Yes, right.
As it was, I didn't burn out until about age 25.
Yes, exactly. Life. Yeah. All right.
And then again at 30 and again 35, yeah.
Says DeForte is making a mod for the Curse of the Azure Bonds that returns the game to rules as written. It's supposed to check the presence of the original file. Interesting. Played with somebody who I can't quite read. Caitlin? It's because it's dark blue on black.
Torres.
Okay.
Kellen Torres, I think.
Played one of those games with references to paragraphs, but to prevent people from cheating by looking up the paragraphs, they were all out of order, and also included a bunch of fake paragraphs.
The Tunnels and Trolls did. Solo D&D.
Yes, choose your own adventures.
Tunnels and Trolls Adventures, and they did that technique. They had fake paragraphs. Oh, thank you, Vivo Miera, for all the whatever the crystal points are called.
Yeah, thank you much.
Cheers. 300 cheers.
Wow,
that's a lot of cheers.
That is.
Thank you very much. The other one was one of the co-writers of Wizardry. It's Robert Woodhead, who's Robert Backward was Trebor, and he was the bad guy. There's a graffiti in the dungeon somewhere that says, Trebor sucks. SUX. And Andrew Greenberg was the other one, and his name backwards was Weirdna. He was, I think the ultimate villain of Wizardry. But he did worked with some people from, I can't remember if it was Carnegie Mellon or something, had done a space game, and he helped them develop and publish it. That came with several books and massive amounts of text. And that was designed for multiplayer, and that everybody could, turn to the appropriate pages in their books, and you're all doing simultaneous actions and minor interactions with each other, but mostly with the game world.
Yeah, like Aces of Aces.
Yeah, Ace of Aces. Basically, each player has a picture book. And you decide what action you're going to take with your airplane.
It's a dogfighting.
It's dogfighting.
Dogfighting in World War I, effectively.
Yes, he did. Andrew Greenberg passed away last year.
Yes.
Nice guy. I met him at a hackers conference.
So Ace of Aces, you had to turn to the page. You would say what you were going to do, and then you had to counter-reference what you two were doing at the same time to go to the right page to see what happened.
I think what happened is that you did your action, and it gave a page number, but it wasn't your page number. It was your opponent's. And so he turned in his book. So he didn't know what you had actually done. He just knew what the result of it was. And then he fed back to you your result, and then you saw whether you had gotten a shot off on him, or I remember the Immelman turn was one of the maneuvers, the high risk, high reward maneuvers you could do.
Oddly enough, I played a version of a game that did something very similar, that would compare the two behaviors, whatever your choice of behaviors, and whatever the opponent was going to do, which was the mini computer. And you had to put this little disc. It was like a little tiny disc for a record player. You had to slot it into the game, and it would tell you. It would play that part of the record to tell you what it was. And it was a crappy football game. You were playing a football game to try to, and it had a voice.
Football is a very popular game, you know.
Yes, I know, but this was when I was little. It was, sort of the only game I think my father really enjoyed playing with. This is a dog.
I loosely follow tennis, so yes. I'm not entirely immune to sports.
Matra says, I was watching a long play of Shadowgate NES and noticed the player could pick up a leather parchment and learn a spell. After learning the spell, the parchment would disappear. It reminded me of Quest for Glory, but is that a D&D stuff or a common situation with game inventory, not wanting to carry useless items? It's a
D&D thing.
But it was from D&D, but it's really, the reason it's from D&D is so that you could not share that spell with all the other players and everybody would have the same spells. But that was a D&D thing.
And you also had a choice. If you came across a spell scroll, let's say you had a spell of fireball on a scroll, you could cast the spell directly from that scroll and do a fireball spell, which would go beyond your normal limits of spells per day. Or you could learn the spell from the scroll. And either way, it destroyed the scroll.
Yes.
So they were all one-use items.
But from a computer game standard, yes, getting rid of unnecessary items is good management. It isn't always done, but it is something that should be done, is so the player doesn't get overwhelmed with stuff that's not needed. The advantage of role-playing games to me is, of course, the action part, but also I feel like you want progression of story and progression of players, characters, and things like, most adventure quote-unquote games, your character does not actually change in the course of it because, you're just trying to find the story is what you're doing with those games. But I wanted real character development and the feel like you are better at the end of the game than you were at the beginning. Did someone say unnecessary? Says unnecessary gamer. Yes.
Unnecessary.
Yes. Indeed.
So I was trying to bring up a D&D character, but I chose the wrong one.
Okay.
But most of my D&D characters had these, 27 extra healing potions and so on them because you never actually used a healing potion because you might run out and you might not have an emergency.
Yes.
So we had all these potions that if they were medicines with expiration dates, all of our potions would expire long before we ever used them.
Yes.
Did someone say Thunder Fury, Blessed Blade of the Windseeker? That's a World of Warcraft meme. World of Warcraft meme. That was particularly very hard to get weapon.
But the phrasing.
The phrasing, did someone say? It shows up all the time in general chat in the game.
Yes. And yes, we all recognize that one all too well if you play the stupid game.
So yeah, scarcity creates value. So if you had a scroll of fireballs that you could read over and over again and cast a fireball spell each time, then there's no restrictions on you.
Little Yasnik.
Yo, Yasnik has resubscribed 43 months. That's a lot.
Long time, yes.
That's a long time. It's almost as old as we are,
It's
isn't
good
it?
to know that people have always been hoarding their items until the end, yes. Never actually using them, especially when it's, the one-use item.
Yep.
It's like, oh my gosh, I could, but then I wouldn't have it anymore when I really need it.
The game of Rogue, you had one-use potions, and you had wands that had an unknown number of uses, and some of them were really powerful. One of the most powerful was the Wand of Slow, and that would cause a monster to move at half speed, and that would allow you to back up a step, do a ranged attack. The monster would take a step. You would back up a step, take a ranged attack. The monster would take a step and never reach you. And that was the only way you could defeat some of the toughest monsters in the game. And as a result, of course, you once again hoarded those and ended up dying to a mid-level monster because you were trying to save it for the really tough ones.
Yes. Von Aether says, possibly the magical equivalent of portals, material, and emancipation grills, the energy barrier that prevented you from carrying anything to the next test chamber.
Oh, I didn't know they had that.
That's an interesting approach, yes.
Well, talk about Arizona D&D and how you did it.
What? Oh, in Arizona D&D, how we handled the problem of if you're actually playing D&D,
magic item inflation.
Yes, you have different DMs have different levels of generosity, and
actually, we'll go back to that character I was bringing up.
The games I learned, the variant on AD&D, at Dungeon and Dragons that I learned was called Arizona Dungeon and Dragons. And that's just because it was developed in Arizona. I was living there at the time. But one of the concepts they had was multiple GMs. It didn't have one dungeon master / game master that ran all the games. Instead, we all traded off the players. Each player would develop their own world, their own stories, and then once a week we would go to a different place and play out that scenario effectively in somebody's world. Now, to handle the problem with somebody giving you, the wand, the wand, the belt of God level power.
Here's my D&D. Oh, you can't really read it.
No, I can't really read it. You can raise the.
Maybe I can raise it to. Let's do like 20-point type.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. So this is my paladin. In Richard's game, he's got a +5 holy sword dedicated to Athena. +5 is the highest you can get in D&D. +5 plate armor with double fire resistance. Spare +2 long swords in case he needs one. +5 holy shield of Athena, etc., etc. Girdle of Titan strength. So Richard is a very high entropy D&D campaign where you get stuff like this, and the games we ran, a +2 item was special. +1 item was pretty special. So if you were to go from Richard's world into ours, you would be extremely overpowered.
Right. So how Arizona D&D worked to handle that is that there was a portal that you went between worlds, and you couldn't bring any physical objects over from game to game, so that you actually had to have a storage locker in everybody's world where you stored the stuff you got from it and then went into the other person's and had to buy a lot of stuff. You could
fortunately there were
credit.
Bank officers in each world that had a common communication system, and would tell the dungeon master what your bank balance was in the other world.
How much gold you had, and so therefore you could buy the basic equipment, but you couldn't buy the magic items, and you had to start again from scratch to try to accomplish it. And that was a way of handling the items, and power levels to keep that balanced, which is, it was a pretty
smart.
yeah, it was a good way to handle that situation, and it was also very interesting that they predicted that problem and countered it when there were just a few people making this up.
Whereas prior to that, most D&D games were done with a single person became the dungeon master and ran years-long campaign.
Yes.
And your character was the character for that campaign. You couldn't take that character out of world to do something else.
Right, which is the kind of game that Richard Aronson runs. You really don't. You really just play his game and the characters within that.
But he started playing with our group in San Jose, which had the IDTG, the Interdimensional something Transport Guild, that had portals taking you from world to world. And he had to figure out whether he wanted to allow characters from other worlds into his.
Yes, and when he did, he discovered what a chaos situation that becomes, yes. Did you see the green meat puppet it's in the Quest for Glory channel in your Discord. I have not. I haven't been all the way through Discord recently. I just got started. You saw it. Okay, fine.
Yeah, where did that come from?
He said his mother
what
made.
Channel was it?
His wife made.
Quest for Glory?
Quest for Glory channel, yes.
Quest for Glory. I need to promote this thing. Quest for Glory. There we go.
Oh. You can't show that. Too bad.
Download.
I might be able to do that.
Maybe.
And play it there.
Maybe. Let's see.
See if you
can.
can.
There we go. Discord app attachments. That didn't do much.
No.
I don't know how it worked. Anyway.
It's really. That is.
I didn't see it. Yes. It's really cute, but we can't say it. So therefore, you must go to our Discord.
Yes, go to the Discord.
And go to the Quest for Glory channel.
And check that out.
Here is a Discord invitation. Bob.
All right, what are your thoughts?
Hidden use copy button. That's not very useful.
Yeah, that doesn't do anything.
Copy button.
There we go. Crap Addicts did a link.
Hidden use copy button. Oh, come on.
We're bad at these things.
I don't understand this.
What's the secret?
This has always worked before. Hidden use copy button.
Because that's what it says. It's copying that thing.
Invite link. Cancel. Yeah, but it has always in the past actually given me clicking copy.
And Lil Yasnik actually has a Thunder Fury? Awesome. I've never actually seen a genuine one in my games. Yeah, the games I've been playing. Let's see. Cephalus Squid says, this is the same problem with sequels. Super powerful at the end of game 1, but you have to be weaker at game 2. Always interesting how different games handle that. And yes, and that is one thing we had to plan for when we began this whole Quest for Glory series. And it is the problem with sequels. And the problem with trying to figure out how to give your player enough new stuff, because everybody likes new stuff every game, without, just, blowing away the entirety of your balance system. Yes. Joshua says, on a more realistic note, I only hate sparingly given magic items when you need them. All the time for fights. Yes. If you actually need a +3 weapon to hurt what you're fighting, then they need to be around. Exactly. The way we handled it in Road to Redemption is, first of all, if you took magic skill as your side bonus, you could effectively use a zap spell, which meant any item was magical. If you were a rogue, I forget, if you were exclusively a rogue, how did we handle that? The magic items. If you had to, to kill a wraith, you honestly had to have a magic weapon or a magic item to harm them. You couldn't throw, bottles at them like you could at the drats.
Well, we had runes you could buy that you could...
Yeah, well, you could put those at the floor.
And we had magical weapons you could find.
I know, but I thought...
Otherwise you died.
Oh, yeah. Well, we tried not to kill you, but yeah, we did believe that certain monsters needed more power to do it. And what are your thoughts on how powerful an imported character could be in Quest for Glory games compared to a newly created one? We always wanted the imported character to be better than, the base level, starting out in the game kind of character. But we can't always predict what the player is going to import, If the player speed runs through the game, they're not going to have great stats when they transfer it over to the next game. But
yeah, it's always a balance issue. What we ended up doing the last couple of games, Quest for Glory 4 and 5, is we relaxed the skill requirements and different things. So instead of saying you must have at least 300 skill in a certain attribute, we'd say, okay, well, you need at least 100. Even though 300 would have been appropriate.
So yes, we always played balanced games, trying to make it so that it felt like the game was getting more powerful. Yeah, and yet you always felt like there was something more that you wanted or needed to do.
Well, earlier on in Richard's world, he had a plethora of magic, but it was not superpowered. So there's a lot of household magic. You had things to help you in the kitchen and things to polish your shoes. And
yes, so
the ring of detect credit rating was very popular among storekeepers.
Yes, assuming there was credit. That makes credit possible. Mostly what his premise was that it was once a technology world that went to magic, and as a result, they duplicated all the technology stuff that they'd had in magic. So that's an interesting approach. I've always liked a bunch of very minor magic items that were either low power or had silly drawbacks just to see what the players would do for them. Yes, well, there is nothing more dangerous than a good role player with a magic item. I don't care what that item is. We had people that could, there was the concept of cantrips in D&D, which came in with one of the add-ins from...
yeah, one of them was a color cantrip that would change the color of something.
Right. They were all had to be minor spells that didn't do a whole lot, but you could do a lot of them. And we had players that were experts at using those things to the point where they used them because you could do them. You didn't have a limit on how many you could cast a day. Suddenly, you gave somebody a weapon that they could use for anything. You would be surprised.
They were much less limited.
Yeah.
One of them was basically equivalent to a cigarette lighter. Give you a little spark of flame. It occurs to me that Gandalf, his big power move in The Hobbit was basically lighting a pine cone on fire and throwing lit pine cones.
His power level was not that impressive.
But it wasn't quite up to the level of
yes.
Superbad's.
Like your cloak of invisibility also makes you smell like a wet dog. I like that dissent. I love the idea of balancing things like that. That yes, you have something powerful, but boy, when you use it, there's a problem.
So Nobby, the comment that CRPG Addict made on my Play-Doh experience, which was of all the developers who were influenced by these early Play-Doh games, you are a bit unique in that your own games don't really show any Play-Doh influence. And what he means by that is that an awful lot of games were essentially clones. So when Richard Garriott came up with Ultima, other people that made 2D role-playing games copied the user interface of Ultima. They would even sometimes have the identical command names and keys and so on. And the games just looked a whole lot like Ultima. So, first of all, Lori wasn't influenced by Play-Doh because... Did you even ever see Play-Doh?
No, I never saw Play-Doh.
Right, Lori never saw it.
I saw the games you said that had been on Play-Doh, right. So I knew the interface.
So like Wizardry came from Play-Doh. One of the first games...
Meteor, the Meteor game came from Play-Doh, didn't it? Effectively? Asteroids.
Yeah,
Asteroids.
Asteroids.
Came from Play-Doh.
Did it?
I think so.
Oh, okay. Well, there was a game called Moon. There was a game called Moon War on Play-Doh, which let you aim a laser beam and try to hit the other player, but there were rocks in the middle of the field.
I think that was effectively...
And you would specify the angle at which you were shooting your laser, and it would reflect off the sides, but be stopped by the rocks in the middle.
I'm presuming that predated the video game, the arcade game.
I don't know that it did.
But at any rate, yeah, that was a
anyway. So, but yeah, a lot of the games basically were copies of, particularly the D&D style games. There were dungeon games. That Rogue is basically a Plato style D&D game.
Always import the fighter mage thief. Yeah, I agree. And that becomes a paladin. That way you get the whole game in one experience, unless you are a completist, and then you want to play each one.
Want to play each one separately and get the flavor of the class and get a new experience. Basically, get more for your money.
But we basically let you play however you wanted. Yes. And Zamantra says, one of the things I always liked about point-and-click games is that normally the direct approach never works. Instead, you need to be clever and beat the opponent monster by using a combination of items and environment. Even in Quest for Glory, you can use alternate paths to fighting to move the story forward. Yes, and we really wanted that. We didn't want the concept of a roadblock to be there such that you hit your head against it too many times.
Bagpipes of invisibility.
I see. That's interesting.
My brother repeated to me the story that heard at folk music gatherings that the bagpipe is a instrument that is best heard across a body of water. So like thing, across a loch or something like that.
Just say it, Carr.
And the response to that is, yes, preferably one at least as wide as the Atlantic Ocean.
Yes.
So.
Right. Ring of detect credit rating. The shopkeeper lets the burglar Bilbo in and kicks out the dwarves and Gandalf, that's for sure. Yes. Wasn't that a weird comment? RPG is the most obvious difference of Quest for Glory from the other adventure games. Yeah.
Well, okay, so now what was meant by RPG in the early days is basically, specifically the combat and maze exploration part of Dungeons & Dragons. So it was all about, having stats, having your character gain experience levels and become more powerful with each experience level, and then using that to get better at fighting monsters. And it was an endless loop of, fight monsters, take their treasure, use the treasure to get better equipment, and fight tougher monsters, and so on. And meanwhile, adventure games also came out of the role-playing games, but they were from the narrative side, and they were all about telling a story, solving puzzles, and exploring, worlds as opposed to dungeons, and getting a cool story out of it. So all we did was said, okay, we're going to bring tabletop role-playing back to the computer by bringing those two things together. We've got an adventure game that's also a role-playing game. We have the storytelling. We also have the experience gain and the abilities and the combat. Obviously there's much more you can really do in what we might think of as a really sophisticated advanced role-playing game today. But just bringing it to that point was pretty advanced for the 80s, late 80s, early 90s.
Inway says, a lot of the early arcade games had very similar game mechanics. After I played Colossal Cave and finally saw Zork, I saw a lot of similarities between those two games, and they really were. The Zork was the next generation of Colossal Cave.
Yeah, it was. It was mostly about parser research, and Zork, they learned how to make parsers that could handle more than 2-word sentences.
Didn't know those early game development was so influenced by Platonism. Maybe you belong to the Aristotelian school instead, yes.
I belong to the objectivist school. At the time that we were first starting out, I was all full of the Ayn Rand, superhero complex thing.
Yes. I was learning to play Dungeon recently and was surprised to come across Corey Cole's comment.
That's fun. There we go.
Yeah. It is dark. A bread is likely to be eaten by me. Yes, that sounds like something you'd find in
Yeah,
it.
you're likely to be eaten by a Gru is the one
Yeah.
from,
Yes.
was that Zork or Adventure?
I thought that was Zork,
Yeah, I think it was Zork.
but it is a line that we have used.
Robert Heinlein wrote a book called, I think it was Tunnel in the Sky, in which they're effectively the equivalent of Boy Scouts or Explorer Scouts that are going to an unknown world and spending a week or 2 weeks there trying to survive. And they were warned about the I can't remember the name, but we'll call it the stopples. That the beware the stopples, and nobody quite knew what a stopple was. And when it turned out that things went wrong, and instead of going into the relatively sanitized test environment, they got sent to a really dangerous world. The one most dangerous creature they couldn't handle, they decided those must be stopples, and only when the student proudly described this to the teacher or the mentor, he said, "Well, actually, we made up that word. There were no actual stopples." With what your bare hand, you have spoiled it there, David TKI. That was a spoiler to me when I first encountered Colossal Cave Adventure, which was at the computer science lab at UCLA. And we were playing it on a teletype out of another college. I think it was University of Utah or something like that. And I came across the dragon, and the guy behind me excitedly said, "So, what are you going to do? You're up against a dragon. You can't handle a dragon." And so, what would you do with the dragon? I said, "I don't know, slay dragon." And okay, type that. So I did, and comes up with what? Your bare hands? And so he pretty much gave away to me.
Yeah, Corey
yes.
gave it to me too.
Yep. So we all spoiled it for someone else. Nobody has ever actually solved that puzzle on their own.
Speaking of that game, has anybody ever done that in Roberta version? Roberta Williams version, have you gotten to the dragon and have you slain it with your bare hands? So
I would imagine.
Grab your
it
stave,
works.
Calais, Beamish boy, and all that bit. Yes and yes, cool. How was that experience in 3D?
Was it dramatic and exciting?
Or was it kind of anticlimactic because you probably already knew the answer before you got there?
Oh, well.
Sad to say. But that's
creative problem solving. That's what adventure games have always been about.
And yes.
And when they're fairly great, you basically uppercut the dragon's jaw with your hand.
I see. Definitely slayed that dragon.
CC3D came out almost 2 years ago to the day.
Ah. Wow.
All right. It has been slain. It looks remarkably silly. Oh, well.
Oh, I'm sure it does. That's, the advantage of doing this in your head as opposed to doing it actually and trying to show that silly.
Well, I remember that being told that if you ever have to fight crocodile or alligator, I forget which, that what you want to do is hold its jaw shut because the muscles for closing the jaw are very strong. The ones for opening are much weaker.
Yep.
So if you can get a hold of it, then the only problem is what do you do next?
Yes. Exactly. I mean, that is the same thing I learned. That is how you deal with crocodiles, which is pretty silly. Crocodiles or alligators just shut their jaw and then
keep them that way.
What do you do? Yes.
Well, actually, when we got the live lobster, my parents brought home one day. It had rubber bands holding its claws shut.
It's kind of hard to put rubber bands on that croc's mouth while you're sitting there trying to hold it shut.
If there's two of you, though, one of you holds it shut, the other one ties the rope around it.
I grew up in a mountain state. I only learned how to defend myself against bears, not crocs and alligators. I don't know why we ever learned that, but we didn't live in Florida.
I did visit Florida once.
Yeah, I did too, once. Exactly. I like Zork, but I
learned
really
that Miami is really pronounced Miami.
I see. I didn't learn that. But really loved the Enchanter trilogy. Several spells and some clever puzzles. However, I hated that you could die if you didn't eat food or drink water in a while.
Well, we kept that for Heroes Quest. Sorry.
We did. And then we've eventually, just made it automatic.
Glossed over it, yep.
Yes, so that you just do that. I mean, it made sense for the game we're going to currently play, which is Trial by Fire. If you're going to play a game that involves crossing the large desert, then you better have water. And you should make it an issue. Because after all, this is it's not a real life situation, but it needs to have the verisimilitude of life. And desert heat and needing water are critical to having a desert, or at least that kind of desert.
And if you get water from a stream and fail to boil it, you might get dysentery.
Well, that's only
when you're
if
playing
you're
Oregon Trail.
When you're playing Oregon Trail, yes. If you're going to go across the United States in a covered wagon, remember to boil your water. I was watching A Quest for Glory 1 stream last night, and somebody was wondering whether there were intentions from the beginning to allow the player to eventually get a familiar later in the series. The way Zara and Erasmus talk about them seem to suggest that possibility. And the answer is actually yes. It would have been, my intention from the beginning that you're by the end of the games, we would be able to handle it. But our games were so complex by that point anyway, and the difficulties of handling it. Maybe if we had made Quest for Glory 6, because for 5, we actually had to have the concept of a character following you or moving in relationship to you. So we solved the problem for 5 and could have handled it from then on. But before that, we really didn't have the technology to handle having another character free walking in an environment.
And there were a lot of problems that had to be solved, like in the early days of MMOs. If you had two characters walking each other, originally they would bang against each other, and then they discovered that it only took 2 characters to block a doorway and make it permanently impassable.
Create water makes dealing with the desert so much easier. It does, but honestly, there's an idea of conservation of magic. And how do you
Where does the water come from to create water spell?
Correct. Is it suddenly
opening a plane
spontaneously have the molecules suddenly form in the middle of things? Is that how it works? Or do you open
a portal to the elemental plane of water, which, first of all, what could possibly go wrong? And second, that's pretty powerful magic.
Yes. So, you have to figure out where magic comes from and what it's doing. Or the idea that there's that somebody dropped a bag of holding, which it has an infinite space in it, dropped that into the lake, and that caused the Sierra Desert. Nobody died of dysentery. I love choosing names like Nobody, Somebody, or Everybody for Oregon Trail. Awesome.
The prelude to the Sierra Network, which later became Imagination Network, Warren Schwader was working on a tank game for it, which was an interesting choice for a different reason.
Really?
But people were playing on modems at the time with incredible latency. And he was trying to solve the problem of if your tank shoots at the other tank, where you see the shot goes, the other player, might have moved 50 yards from there by the time he sees where your shot goes because of latency. And how do you actually simulate that in a way that feels satisfying to all the players? And I don't think any great answers, but I was coming up with some preliminary ones. I came up with my approach to it, which might or might have been brilliant or naive, who knows. But these things are really tricky, because there is lag time on multiplayer computer games, and they get it around these days by having super fast internet connections and so on. But there's still, easily could be a half second to a second lag, and a person can move pretty far in a half a second.
And Nabi, so you could get a familiar like Erasmus, the one that Fenris has, similar. Actually, the game that we're doing right now, which is Fea's Adventure, we'll be doing, we're working on. Let's see, where's his thing? There it is. Part of the whole story is about making
Hold
that.
this up, you talk.
Yeah, making a familiar. Half the gameplay in this thing is about how he goes about trying to create a familiar.
And there's his familiar.
Yes.
It's Jafafa.
Yeah, Jafafa.
Jafafa. It was a...
Erasmus is the best familiar. Well, he is. Yes, and what that entails. So, yes, if you play Ifeo's Adventure, you will honestly get to finally actually have a familiar in a game.
Assuming, of course, that you and Lori both lived for a very long time.
Right.
But we are trying to get that out this year.
Yes.
It's still got a long ways to go, though.
Right. I love how Telltale's Sam and Max games solve that. Sam just knocks Max flying in the air whenever they collide, with Max going, whee! That works. And the style of that game is ideal. It's very cartoony, and it works. My middle name is Terry. Plenty have died from dissing it. Yeah.
I see.
Careful, hero. There is a poisonous snake, says Cedric voice. Yes. Joshua says...
Oh, he said a snake.
Nope. Magic. Water present when spell gets cast. Yes.
So, yeah, because that was one of the, our things when we were running tabletop role-playing is we wanted to have magic be magical, but also to feel like something could exist.
Yeah, that there were rules behind the magic. It wasn't
structure
just,
to it.
It wasn't just wave your magic wand and something appears. All of our magic spells had to have a certain amount of
Magic wand.
logic to them and reasonable, and that there were rules to how magic works. And those are all, things that we have at the back of our mind. We may never have ever put them in writing, but they're concepts. There is no such thing as a free lunch in our world, even though magic seems to say that. Let's see. Speaking of modems, does anybody else remember when someone called your house and it'd kick you off the internet?
Oh, yeah. Except they didn't really have the internet back then.
Yeah. It would kick you off when your modem was running. If you were on...
It'd be on the Stuart 2 bulletin board.
Yeah. We were on bulletin boards. Let's see. Fenris thinking of Erasmus as familiar as a fun running gag.
Or later on, they had CompuServe and...
Ifeo's familiar looks like a gargoyle. It kind of does from what you were seeing, because that looks a little blurry. But that's not what it is. It's actually a meerbat.
A meerbat.
A meerbat, if you remember that from the game we're going to play sometime.
Okay, so the wonderful National Geographic animal is the meerkat in somewhere in Africa. And they have a pose that looks so very cute. Like they're sitting up begging or something. They're just the cutest animals. So Lori had JP put bat wings on the meerkat.
Quest for Glory 3, Corey.
We had a Quest for Glory 3?
Yes.
We did? Why?
The meerbats. They were critical to it, Cole.
3. Which one's 3? Oh, 3 is like in the desert and stuff. Oh, the meerbats. Are they... Oh, no, I remember the honey badgers, but...
The honeybird? I'm trying to see. We have it somewhere.
Lori's looking for a meerbat somewhere in the courtyard. We have a little inner courtyard here that's all full of Lori's plants and her ceramic stuff and various odds and ends toys and sculptures that go well with plants. Anyway, so there's a meerbat in Quest for Glory 3, which is the only Quest for Glory I actually ever played, so I should remember it. But there was other stuff in that game too.
Yeah. I wonder where I stuck it.
I remember that there were some jaguar people, and there were some Maasai warrior tribe type people, and other stuff, and a pharmacist. Yeah. who later fell in love with a tree.
Yeah. I can't find it somewhere right in there. It's stuck on a shelf somewhere.
I don't remember the Miraettes except maybe by name.
You didn't even remember by name. Timon with bat wings, exactly.
Who's Timon?
That's Lion King.
Ah.
And he's a mere bat.
Meerkat?
Or meerkat without the wings.
Timon
yes.
is a meerkat. Okay.
Honey badger is something else. Yes, it's a bit of a badass. All badgers are a bit of a badass after all. But the honey badger wins. You know, a wolverine is a form of badger, and wolverines are super too. But we know the honey badger is just badass, yes. All right, well, why don't we start playing...
I don't know, we've already wasted an hour.
I know, but that's okay. Because nobody
cares.
Nobody
You're
cares.
all here to hear us yak.
We're here to yak. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been coming to our things.
Oh, there's a game.
Well, what do you know? You got it almost set up.
Desktop.
Why that shows and not Discord, I don't know.
Because probably Discord doesn't choose to.
We're here to enjoy the show, whatever it may be. Yes. Well,
Quest for Glory 6. No, I don't have that on this one. I took it out of the menu.
Cheetars never prosper. I loved that line. I mean, honestly. There's some dorky things that we write. We'll need to deal with the sound first.
Poet tonight. Something exciting with lots of fighting. Something for everyone. It's D&D tonight. Something like that. Role playing tonight. Hack and slash tonight.
Hack and slash
Slash tonight.
I love the insights in these streams.
No need to parry. There's nothing scary about a platinum dragon's bite. Role playing tomorrow. Hack and slash tonight. Poet Omar will be there tonight. I guess we better make sure we're here.
Guess so.
Wouldn't want to miss the Poet Omar.
No. It should be exciting, which means this is probably not Earth Day in Trial by Fire. I thought we would handle the Earth Elemental this game. We may or may not get to it as the rate we go through these things. So, but I was trying to find a good pun or something to call. Yes.
Day is dawning.
Wow, we are out early.
I wonder if I remember to get breakfast before I lost.
I believe you did.
I think I did.
Yeah, and you can't tell.
Are these Scorian slurry?
Yeah. Yes.
Scorian slurry.
There's food there, you know.
Slurry is the local beach merchant. Scory is the local food merchant.
I love the quote from Shima in Quest for Glory 2 about true wealth being contentment. That certainly...
Oh, come on. True wealth is the friends you meet along the way.
No.
That's the answer to all questions is friends meet along the way.
Okay. All right. They were happy to sell us stuff. Is it hard to know if your own game is fun while making it? Oh boy, you should, believe that, yes. Like when you're testing a game for hundreds of hours to get things right, can you separate it works from it's fun?
Often not.
No, that's what pre-planning is for. It's what we can predict what we're doing, and you certainly can't tell when you're actually got it into the game whether it's fun or not. It's all a matter of trust and,
Let's see how my water skid is doing.
Trust into what you're thinking about. And it is...
we're in hands off right now, so I can't type anything. There we go. Mostly full. They're probably good enough.
Okay, especially if we go outside.
So what do we want to do?
Well, we passed wit last time, so we are officially...
So we've won.
A wizard,
The game's pretty much over.
Right. We haven't...
We don't have any emergencies lately.
No, we don't have any...
Let's talk to this town person. Appears to be male. Ma Fimt.
Yes.
Townsperson doesn't seem to understand you. Ma Fimt, Lori looked up in a Arabic book. It means something like, I don't understand you.
Yes. And therefore, I used it throughout the game. Ma Fimt.
And the programmers were thrilled by it. Anytime they had trouble understanding what we were trying to do with the game, they'd say, Ma Fimt.
So yes.
So yeah, you can't actually tell. Okay, so we had a recent situation of a game by Sony. That was a mega budget game. It was like $100 million budget or something like that, and has not done well. And even the big companies cannot really tell if a game is going to sell.
Nobody. I mean, and it's just like movies. Movies, they spend millions. There's a caravan which will pass by us 6 days from now. That is our time limit. We now have a timer.
Journey to a Assyria. You will need to join it.
Okay.
Well, that means I can now ask about Caravan.
Yes.
A caravan is many travelers journeying together. It is much less dangerous that way.
Yes. Nobody in Hollywood can tell whether or not a movie is good.
Yeah, William Goldman wrote Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and The Princess Bride. Has a couple of books. One was called Adventures in the Screen Trade, and the other one is called Which Lie Did I Tell? And he said that basically that any of the executives in the film industry are terrified of spending a lot of the studio's money on the project and having it be a bomb, and they're even more terrified of turning down a project, having some other studio taking it up and getting rich from it. So they're totally faced with decision paralysis.
It is easier to say no than to say yes. Because if you say yes...
Or better yet, to say, okay, well, I'll run this by our committee and we'll get back to you, and never actually give you an answer, because that way you don't, you're on tenterhooks waiting for them to make a decision, and you don't take it to that other studio.
Yeah. Is a caravan? Is a door ajar?
That was one of my favorite stupid jokes when I was a kid, is when is a door not a door when it's a jar?
Yes. Okay. Well, we now know...
When is a car not a car when it turns into a driveway?
Yes. I was referring to the Quest for Glory series with my last question. Did I miss the answer? What was the question?
We'd like to bring all the games to the same engine and graphics level. The problems here ran into... so if you recall, there are two versions there's Heroes Quest and there's Quest for Glory 1 VGA. And they were at the time... Sierra was highly reliable on its back catalog of older games, and that's where they made 3/4 of their money. And they were going through converting a lot of their older AGI games and first generation SCI games to the second generation SCI and the VGA graphics and so on. So they did that with Quest for Glory 1 and with about 3 other games at the same time. And it turns out that of those, only Quest for Glory 1 VGA was a significant bestseller. And they said, it ended up costing us $500,000 to do this remake, and we could have done a new game for that. We would better off be making a new property rather than a remake, or at least a sequel. They could have made Quest for Glory 6 instead of, or whatever they were up to. Quest for Glory 3 instead of Quest for Glory 1 VGA. Spend the same amount of money and make more money. And if the only one they had done was Quest for Glory 1, they would have probably said, oh, yeah, this is a good thing to do. It's justified.
But King's Quest and Larry and all those others just barely...
But, part of it was money, the amount of budget they had for, each year's game development. But it's also the teams. And they only had a certain number of people in-house working. And if they wanted to do 10 games a year instead of 5... they would have had to hire twice as many people.
And the truth was that remaking a game cost just as much as it cost more than it did to make the game in the first place.
Yeah, so
it's all down to economics, really.
Yeah, when we were having the team meeting on Quest for Glory 1 VGA, John Bach was the art director, and management, one of the executives, asked him, what amount of art do you think will have to be redone? And he said, versus what can stay in the game. And he said, probably about 80%. And nobody followed up on that to find out whether he meant that 80% would have to be redone or 80% would stay the same. Everyone assumed that 80% would stay the same, and they would do basically paint by numbers. Well, John meant, and it turned out to be, that 80% of the art had to be completely redone.
Yep.
Uh,
I think that if I were going to remake the games and keep them consistent, I'd go to Quest for Glory 4 and use that as the art style and use that as the the hallmark of what the game should look like.
so this looks totally obvious that there's these rocks. Rocks get in your way, so you can't move through them. It turns out that is not intuitive. That the rocks are just painted on a piece of paper, the computer screen.
Well, you can show the lines if you remember how.
I don't actually remember.
Somebody does, but
Does the Sec Blue Frog work in this version? I don't know if it does.
I don't know.
Debug mode. Control C. Nope. Nope. So I don't remember how it works. That might not work. But anyway, if you got into debug mode in here, you could say show the visual screen, which is what you normally see, show the control screen, and on the control screen, this area here is black. Black means it's open. The player can walk there. The rocks are painted solid white. White means the player can't go there. And that leaves 14 other colors in EGA that were control areas. So when you come to here, or here, it might have been painted green, and green might mean this is an entryway, take control of the player, walk him through into the next room.
We second a blue frog. Never sure if that's actually debug or just the hero hallucinating from the frog toxins. Exactly. But more to the, on the other hand, the fact that we have rocks over there to block the player, do you know how hard it was to teach the artists to actually remember the way to design a set?
Yeah, because they would just as soon have this open with the assumption that you can walk around behind the city.
Or block it. They'll block it.
Yeah, you hit the edge and you just stop. And that drove us crazy. We said, you cannot block the player from a place where it looks like they can go.
Right. We want to make it, and just teaching the artists that basic thing to me is it should have been self-explanatory to always show where the player can go and show where the player cannot go. And that was just something they had to actually learn. And there are games I see with, some of the other games, they just didn't get that from the beginning.
Now, that simple little thing I just did, I typed Mount Saurus, and the hero walked over to the gate, appeared to open the gate, the Saurus came out through the gate, and the hero jumped up on him and mounted the Saurus. At least that's what you think is happening as a player. What's actually happening is a pretty complex script that takes control away from the player, paths him by a path that doesn't run into any obstacles over to the gate, does an animation of the hero reaching out, does an animation of the gate opening, does a movement animation of the Saurus walking over to the hero, does a jumping animation of the hero, and then changes the sprite for the hero is no longer the hero. It is now a combined sprite of the hero on the Saurus. So there's like 12 operations involved in that very simple little command. And the reason you have the hands-off mode is because players will break the game in all sorts of creative ways if you allow them to type while that's going on. He'll say, kill the guard while he's in the middle of opening the gate, and the conflict in the animation will not look good.
Let's see. I've heard rumors that someone is looking at doing a Quest for Glory 5 remake. I've heard rumors. I've seen bits and pieces of other people doing something similar, but I never know. I wonder what's at the summit of Mount Saurus. Yes. And Joshua was saying, I was mostly asking due to the complete overhaul to third that 5 gave us. I personally prefer the high-quality art style. Can't remember if I got to 4. Got to start over, only got to the vampire one. 4 is the vampire one. And I think, 4 really was the one, the art style is...
didn't get off in time.
He did.
Maybe he did.
He didn't attack. He's,
He did.
okay, fine. Now that's magic points you've used, so he didn't get you. Let's see. I'd be game for a remake of 5 or a remake using the same engine graphics as a new indie game. I would be, yeah, I'd love to. I mean, bringing up Quest for Glory 5 and doing it like we did Road to Redemption would make sense. But if we ever do another Hero U role-playing game like Wizard Way, we will be changing the interface again and doing a different kind of look to our game, our 3D, but it would definitely still be in 3D because 3D makes the most sense. This is very, very what's the term?
Hey, look, I'm winning combat with my
Aesthetic.
dagger.
Yeah, you're good at this. You're getting good, which is what you need to do because you're supposed to be good.
Uh-oh.
See the speed run for what happens when you break hands off. Ah, yes, I'm sure there's a lot of ways that you could find to break that.
Ha! I have dealt the Scorpion my own deadly sting. I still have
And you
enough points
hardly
left.
took any damage. Yeah, that was really good.
I'd be about a quarter.
Anyone wants to 2D if 5-5, I love it personally. Really like that the series was constantly changing as it went, though. I think that the
what is this thing called? Take sting.
No.
Take stinger.
Take tail.
Ah, you get the scorpion's tail.
Okay, fine.
Tail. You already taken its tail.
I reckon
It has claws. It clearly has claws.
it does. Oh wow.
I don't remember which direction we're facing
I
anymore.
honestly like to see the 1 through 5 in
All
VR.
right. I'm going to
I'm
cast
not fond of-
Dumapic.
Ah.
That's the wizardry mapping spell.
Oh well.
I just got Wizardry 3D. Which is, the
I
enhanced
tried so
version.
hard to pass the fighter challenge on my magic user, but I couldn't do it. I killed a lot of things with the dagger too, though. Oh, that's good. I think VR has a lot of potential to birth a new generation of VR games.
Okay, so note the character is looking like old generation Leisure Suit Larry there. The magic map, oh dear. So how do we find our way around here? Compass?
Yes, compass.
Control C. Without water. No, use compass.
Ta-da.
All right, south is that away.
Oops, new generation.
Now, does anybody
of
remember
adventure
which
games.
direction is Shapir?
The Herosaurus dished him? Yes, it does. Anytime you get into danger, the Herosaurus
Is-
uses more sense than you do. Brave Sir Roger bravely ran away. Yes.
If we're
Saurus
larger, you
helped
can
the
say
hero dismount so he could fight. Yes.
Get leaves. Get flowers. Get out of here.
There's a VR demo of Quest for Glory 4. It's a mod of Hex. Interesting. I haven't seen the video on that one.
Colosaurus.
Quest for Glory 2 was the first game that I figured something out that my dad couldn't. We just kept getting lost in the city maze to get to the magic changer. So I went outside first to fight a bandit and get money to buy the map. Yes. Yes. Get leaf? No. None of those will work. He's just screwing around.
That Dazzle animation takes so long that they should be... Yeah, it never actually worked, does it?
He isn't. Well, yeah, you need to do it in combat. Here is where you do it. Some of the
doesn't
speedrun
work.
categories actually do this. Okay. You're dying, Mr. Cole.
I can't cast. There. Cast Flame Dart. I have a keyboard
should've-
repeat thing.
Yeah, but that's too late. Too late, Corey. Get your healing potion because you didn't
I don't think
save.
I don't think you can use a
Then you better run
healing
away.
pill. Don't have time for that.
Run away.
Run.
Run!
Don't have time for that.
Why does there
Escape?
hit silly crowns? I'm curious because Fallout
Escape
New
worked. One away
Vegas
works. Escape works.
had to do a similar thing and make it a perk. Really, silly clowns is just silly.
Hey, I made it to an oasis.
Like, did someone not want the humor? Yes. Did you take a pill?
No.
One pill makes you taller and other makes you small. And the ones that mother gives you...
Let's go up again. Man who steals purse gets trashed. Drink water.
All right, silly clowns.
Check and refill all your waters. Eat healing pill.
Okay, all that.
Character sheet. Control S. Health points 37 out of 71. Stamina very low.
Yeah, you need to rest too. But you have gone up in some skills.
My weapon use went up. My dodge went up. My pick locks went up. When did we pick a lock?
One makes you tall, the other makes you small.
When did we pick a lock?
And helps you look for the other two. That's true.
I don't remember picking any locks.
Ah, yeah.
I guess I must have tried that.
Yeah. I'm amazed at stuff like reflections. Who programmed that back then? Well,
It was tricky.
It was very tricky, and it was all done in art.
Yeah,
really.
what they did basically is using their art tools. They made a series of reflections, and they basically just show the reflection in the pool.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. And yes.
And it's in the case of the dervish, it's a 2 or 3 frame cycle, which makes it look like it's shimmering with the water.
Yeah.
It's all smoke and mirrors.
It's the magic of,
The rest. This does seem.
All
After
right,
an hour's
so-
rest, you feel refreshed.
So the
My stamina's all back.
oh good. The question was silly clowns.
Silly clowns. I guess it was Brian Hughes came up with that originally.
That was Brian.
Brian K. Hughes, who's currently working for work, if you know any game companies that are looking for a very experienced developer. Anyway, Brian said that when you had what was the first spreadsheet programs they had in the day? Like Lotus 123, there was an even older one. They said that they always planned for future patches by including menu items that didn't do anything. So they, because they'd have like a
VisiCalc, yeah.
Yeah, VisiCalc, all those. That basically, if you had like a payroll system, or a accounting system, they were planning on adding a payroll module later, but you had to add that on and buy the payroll system separately. So they would have a payroll menu, it would be grayed out, meaning it didn't work. And then if you bought their payroll system, they would change it so that the payroll button was no longer grayed out, instead would take you to the payroll module. So he wanted to have something in our menu that didn't work, that did absolutely nothing. And he came up with the idea of Silly Clowns mode. So if you say, use Silly Clowns, that it would do absolutely nothing. Action information. Was it in this game? Wait,
Yeah.
where is it?
I don't know.
I don't see it. Oh, here it is in the Sierra menu. About Quest for Glory 2, Help, and Silly Clowns. Silly Clowns. Off, on, or auto. We'll put it on auto. Okay, well, what does that do? In Brian's original scheme, absolutely nothing. I kind of spoiled it because I said, I've got an idea what we can do with that. We've got this guy running around the alleyway honking his horn, and we'll have him only be there in Silly Clowns mode. And I think we have a couple of the death messages change.
Yeah.
They're sillier in Silly Clowns mode. In fact, let's turn it off entirely.
You will never know.
Then I'll die.
You'll never know because, it may or may not work. So it's the Schrodinger's cat of games.
And we'll replace some old one. Weapon shop lightened, fire extinguisher. Prepping for fire. We'll replace that.
Do the
with...
X-ray glasses only work with silly clowns on? No, we did not tie that one.
Okay, so let's see. What's a good way to die? Well, we just quit game.
Okay, why are you quitting?
No, I just wanted to see if it was silly.
Okay.
It's still silly.
Yes, it is. We didn't have that many things that it actually affected, so for the 90% of the game, it has no effect.
Beard. Difference between beard and world is one whirls around tree, the other twirls around me. How about ask for beard? don't think that works. Nope. Get beard. I think we've already done it. Beard must stay or dervish drift away. So the original version of this, you could get the beard infinite number of times. So
It's silly anyway because too many regular clowns worked on this game. Okay.
Is true. Fishbach and me particularly among them. Brian and Eek. Hey, look at that. The hero walked around that rock. That's advanced pathfinding.
Yes. So intelligent and clever.
I don't know whether we're going the right way or the wrong way.
Well, we'll find out. You could bring up the
I would guess we're going the right way.
I guess so.
I could bring up the what?
Bring up the compass.
I did. It said it only works in town.
No, the compass works out in the desert.
Oh, the compass.
It's a map that doesn't work except in town.
We're too late now.
I have so much appreciation for the tone and writing of these games. I thank you.
Well, they are, partly Lori in her own sense of humor, but I see you left your source out of the desert. Don't worry, he'll come back eventually. I'm going to watch the Lilies of the Field after the stream is over.
Interesting choice.
Yeah. Partly it's Lori's humor, and partly it's that she gave a lot of latitude to the developers,
Yes.
the programmers to write their own stuff. The artists, would occasionally draw silly stuff, and we would use it where we could. But the programmers, anytime they were saying, "Well, what happens if you climb wall?" And if Lori hadn't specified that, you don't need to climb it. They'd come up with an appropriate message.
Yep.
And sometimes that was a silly message. Tickle guard. You will not need to use the word tickle in this game.
Yes, when we had Jerry Moore as our
Fight
artist
guard.
in the game, which
Aggressive, aren't you?
we had Jerry Moore for this game. We had him for the first
Oh, that's
game.
about the poet. He says his poetry is very good. I listen to it when he reads in the plaza.
Cool.
So,
But I don't think...
not a dumb guard.
Yeah. I think we lost him after that, much after that. We certainly didn't have him in 3 or 4. But he has a lot of visual humor. I mean, he loved doing that sort of thing.
Up to mid-afternoon.
You have reached the residence of Mr. and Mrs. Pixel. Yes.
I think it's much more fulfilling to walk through the alleyway than to use the magic compass.
Ah, good.
The magic map.
What time is it?
Mid-afternoon.
Okay. What you gonna buy?
I'm going to sell that scorpion tail.
Oh, okay, fine. Good.
Hi. Because he never responds to the first thing you say. So, scorpion tail.
You misspelled tail.
Sell tail. Oh, wonderful. I was almost out of poison cure pills. I can make up some more. Here's your reward of 20 dinars. You take the money and put it away. How are we doing right now? Our health points are 41 out of 71. Night's sleep will fix that up. Magic points, a little low. Night's sleep will probably fix that up too. So we haven't been doing much lock picking. Oh,
Yeah.
we did we did steal the stuff from the blacksmith.
Valiant saying, I was thinking the other day that I enjoyed being able to see the city above the streets in the background in the fan remake as a cool orientation cue, but I miss the claustrophobic feel of the original closed-in streets. I think it's very cool to have the be able to see the city and the upper parts of this scene.
Lock on, that doesn't
Lock
move
on.
me,
No, it doesn't.
but
You're
walk does. Oh, passersby.
Wow.
What do we do? We'll get lost
This
in the
is
alleys.
very claustrophobic, and it's really dull colors. That's part of what I think would be amazing.
This took an enormous amount of memory to get this to work at all.
Yes, and have people walk across like that.
Yeah, Mark Wilden spent, 3 months on this.
Yes, and you gave up on it. Yes.
No, I didn't try. Mark said he could do that, so I said fine.
No, you started out being in
Did I?
charge of it, and you got nowhere, and that's when it went to Wilden.
And of course, my idea was to have combat in the alleys
Oh,
and
well,
stuff.
yes.
there was no memory left over for that.
Right. We really wanted this to be exciting. We'd have brigands in the hallways and things like that. Although, in the end...
I almost made it to the Moneymaker. Money Changer.
In the end, this was the better choice because it makes sense not to have combat in the alleyways of Shapir because this is supposed to be a peaceful city. And so...
but the remake does have some combat.
I don't know. Does it have it in the hallways?
Yeah, it's in the alleyways.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Especially coming from Spielberg's open spaces, this feels like the shock it would be. Yes, we really did want this to be.
We also wanted it to feel huge, which, the maze of city streets hopefully does make it large.
Happy to see me? Or is that just the money in your pocket?
Jingle coins.
Right. And this is not the parser you want, Corey. Greet.
What's her name?
Dinarzad.
Dinarzad. Something to do with dinars. What? Yes, Dinarzad. That's always my favorite kill. I keep typing.
Yeah.
Been playing the wrong kind of aggressive games, clearly. She coyly evades her kids.
Why?
Ask about job.
Work is a little hard to come by in Shapir. After what you've already done here, you should lay low, if you'll pardon the expression. All right, nothing up. Just the money. Originally preferred them, but I would rather play Quest for Glory 1 remake these days. Yeah. I think the remakes are the way. Well, I think that the non-parsered games really is.
The Sultan may live forever.
Is very wise and watches over everything. It is best not to try to break the laws around here unless one is very, very cunning.
I am a cunning linguist.
I still prefer text partnership.
Doesn't know anything about the poet. Ask about Emir.
The old Emir of Rasir was a fool, and fools are easy to deal with. But from all I hear, whoever controls Rasir now is far from a fool.
Well,
there you get some history. Get a little bit of
context.
Information, which is, what you're here for. Weapon shop, we don't need it. Let's see.
Interest. We don't have any reason.
Let's see. The only thing we're missing right now is the Earth Elemental probably shows up tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to remember what to do. The great rise and celebrations today, followed by a rapid decline tomorrow. What else can I do for you? Ask about decline.
The new remake needs to have a Jafar SP? Not sure.
I want to know what I'm supposed to do with this leather purse. Uses a drawstring recloser. Look and purse. That doesn't really help. Ask about poet. Maybe he knows something about the poet. Stars very little to say about that. Ask about Rasir.
The Dark Hand is over Rasir now. Its ruling planet has been missing since it passed across the dragon. He isn't very useful, the astrologer, but he is actually giving you information that's,
It's the perfect riddle type thing. It's ones that are basically, it sounds like he's, the perfect prophecy. Sounds like he's speaking nonsense, but after you've been through all the situations of the game, you realize that, that actually kind of made sense.
Yes, the poet Omar left that behind at the fountain.
Well, we don't know. Was it the poet that left it there?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so we want to give it back to him, but we haven't seen him since. So
yeah, so
maybe we could do it at during his performance.
Session tonight. Thank you, David. I wasn't sure what was XP. Character that might as well be named character. At least that's my understanding.
Exposition?
I have to head off, says Valiant. Thanks for streaming and have a lovely daylight, everyone.
Ah,
Day/night.
the Jafar XP.
Yeah.
The new remake needs to have a Jafar XP.
Ah. And thank you, Valiant, for showing up.
Now the Vizier is always the turns out to be the bad guy in all the Arabian Nights tales, just as the Butler always did it in Mysteries.
And he wasn't in the really real Arabian Nights. I mean, the concept of the Sultan Suleiman and Jafar, his vizier, wandering the streets.
Oh, that's true.
Is
Yeah.
a trope in the night stories, in the Arabian tales of
The poets are
1,000
now.
nights and a night. They are. It isn't. This wasn't a total made up thing. They really did play games of disguise themselves. Oop.
If it would please the hero so, then there is that which he should know. A simple prize from Sultan wise, for deeds of air the land does owe. From the Sultan Harun al-Rashid, may he reign forever, we present thee with this purse for thy services most brave and daring against the elemental of air. Oh, cool. We got a purse. Receive a reward of 50 dinars.
Cool.
Oh, I didn't want to sit down.
Well, you have to, because they're going to do this.
Came a hero drawing near to our land of fair Shapir. The catacalled and carried that one here. Called and carried that one here.
You have to.
I shall tell an allegory about a quest for love and glory. And the other line I didn't read because it took too long.
Yes. The hero first faced fire, which was making matters dire, for the flames he fought were flitting ever higher.
Ever higher.
With water first he fought it, and into a lamp he caught it, ere the city of Shapir became our pyre.
Became our pyre.
The next he faced was air, which I'm sure that you're aware, was blustering and blowing here and there.
Here and there.
Before the winds became our bane, as a fearsome hurricane, with a bellows then he caught it fair and square.
Fair and square.
So let us raise a cheer for the hero of Shapir, and remember that our praise is quite sincere. For in the quest for glory, as related by this story, is a hero who has saved us from our fear.
From our fear.
Is a hero who's a hero without peer.
Without peer. So clearly, applaud first, but we'll leave it there because it freezes the game when you type something.
Yes.
So if you think that poetry was a little trite, remember it was translated from the Arabic.
Yeah. That's why the rhyme scheme is
cheer. Now, thank poet.
You are most welcome, hero who came here. May you always be so welcome in Shapir.
Such a thing was done with pleasure. Hero needs no mention. Give purse to poet.
That which I lost is now returned. I give you the praise of gratitude earned.
The memory of a poet is long for those who hate him.
Did Lori write all of Homer's poetry? Yes.
Yes.
I used to be so impressed by it when I first played the game. Yes, I'm the.
It's pretty good. Some of it is great. Some of it is okay.
Yes.
It all rhymes and scans.
And Jafar does not appear to have a disdain for street rats. The astrologer is a perfect sort of prophet.
I asked about Rasir.
The dark has touched her and has turned aside all things of light that once there abide. Rasir is left to crumble in despair. Thus wickedness and folly now reside. Well, that's the other kind of poem. I have to. But in the doer's arrogance and pride, the light grows ever stronger now outside. A hero strives to force the darkness back, and into morning shall be Rasir's guide. I hate the
We got work to do. But in the doers, arrogance and pride, the light grows ever strong. No. The city of Rasir has been overcome by darkness, yet there shall be a hero to return her to the light. Gee, I wonder who they expect that to be. Ask about Emir.
A tale is told of this same time last year that magic caused the man to disappear. A brother now is ruling in Rasir, and no one knows the fate of the Emir.
The true emir of Rasir vanished last year at the same time. Ask about Sultan.
There is a sultan in the land of Shapir who speaks but truth and counsels all to hear, to whom the people praise and cheer. The righteous rejoice, and the foul all fear.
The Sultan Harun al-Rashid, may his name be known always, is the most powerful and perceptive
Those
ruler.
parenthesis lines of "May he live forever," that was very much used in Arabian Nights.
And the idea is that you've got someone who speaks in riddles, and then the
translator.
the plain speaker translator.
I also think of it as the speaker to computers.
Oh yes,
in Galaxy
it's
Quest.
the Galaxy Quest.
He has to tell you what it's my only job. My job
And by
is.
God, I'm going to do it.
Yes.
One of my favorite Arabian Nights stories was the tale of the, rather spoiled young man, prince, that, all he liked to do was hunt and ride horses and so on. And went on a hunting trip and met a very beautiful woman. And as his servant, went to draw water for him. There's variation. I'm mixing two stories.
Yes. Okay.
All right, the story I'm mixing. Someone dashes the thing out of his hand and then goes and draws water for him, and then again dashes it on the ground. So, why are you insulting, the princess? And finally, the third time, gives it to him and says, you've been out traveling in the desert heat to drink cold water so soon would make you sick. So I merely gave you a chance to cool off first. And the prince was so impressed, he said, I'm going to marry that girl. And he says, silly prince, I would never marry a man who does not know a trade. And so we went back home. He got his mother to teach him how to weave. But being a prince, he only learned to weave in cloth of gold, golden thread. And
I sure haven't heard this one.
I'm pretty good at it. Anyway, so years later, he becomes the Sultan. And he goes with his loyal vizier around the land in disguise and gets captured and thrown into a pit where they basically, are starving people to death. And said, but those who have a skill, get to do the skill and they get more food and stuff. And they say, you don't have any skill? And he says, well, I know how to weave. And I said, that could be useful. He says, but I only weave in cloth of gold, and it'll be super valuable, but only to the Sultan. So being very greedy, they get him to weave a carpet or a tapestry with cloth of gold, and he hides in a secret message in the weaving. And when that is taken to the Sultan's palace, the girl who is now his wife instantly recognizes that it's his work and spots the secret message and says, "Oh, this is very nice. I will pay you double your asking price, but I need to meet the weaver." And basically brings her army out and rescues the new Sultan. And the moral of the story is
you should learn a trade.
Everyone must,
even when it's worthless.
And even when you're the ruler of the land, you need to be able to learn a common man's trade.
Don't remember that one.
So that was my favorite story.
Okay.
And Taligi is waving to us in. Is that the heroine from Crimson Diamond?
No.
Something.
Yeah. You'll have to let us know which.
Colton Powell. Of course not. I'm speaking riddles. The kind of prophecy where later you'll say, "Oh, that's what that means. The stars above."
Yes. It's the. Oh, I could have had a V8 symbol that we like. We do love to have prophecies that are.
A very
Sophia
stupid.
from Fate of Atlantis. Oh, cool.
Yeah, there we go. Sophia.
But you do know Julia. Great.
One of
Ah, yes, there we go. Yes.
One of the stupid films that I really liked was called Circle of Iron.
Yeah.
And it has this wise, very excellent fighting monk who always speaks in riddles and just completely mocks our main
Yes,
character.
there's a dumb movie you should all see. Circle of Iron.
Yeah,
Is that
Circle
the
of Iron.
name of it?
It's had another title.
It was the magic flute or the silent flute.
Yeah, the silent flute or something like that.
It
But
stars David Carradine, who played in Kung Fu, the old television show about a monk. And this was after that. And I think it was produced by Bruce Lee or something like that. It's dumb.
Hilarious dumb film.
It's very dumb, but it is very entertaining, yes.
And, and wise in a way.
And Soviet Sly says, greetings. If you could be a penguin, would you rather be one in modern times or during the British colonization era? Probably anything would be better for a penguin during the British colonization era because they're not facing, loss of habitat and pollution in the waters and things like that during that time, even if the British were eating penguins during
Do I
the
have
colonization.
the Moldaz Rudin book on that second
I
shelf
thought
over
we
there?
did.
So my mom had this book that's
Somewhere.
I don't recall the title, but something like the Tales of the Molinaz Rudin. And this is the trope of the wise fool, or the stupid wise man. Let's say the wise fool. So Nasruddin is this guy who does seemingly totally
It's Sufi.
Sufi teaching tales.
Teaching tales, yes. I haven't seen
And
it
he,
now.
but that's all kind of related to the whole Quest for Glory and Arabian Nights thing. Is that he's lost his keys, so he gets his friend to. They're both down on their hands and knees looking for and can't find it anywhere in the yard. And finally, the friend says, "Well, where did you lose it?" "Oh, I lost it inside the house." "Well, why are we looking out here? There's light's much better out here."
Yes.
That sort of thing. That just shows, making fun of people that think they're wise.
And that is in reference to.
Too?
Yes, in reference to.
Riddles.
Okay, riddles.
Riddles that really actually mean something.
Well, I'm not sure I see the correlation between those two things, but that is definitely, the mullah was definitely one of those stories. There are many, many stories about the mullah, and sometimes he is very clever, and other times he is, looking for keys where there's more light.
Yeah. He became very rich with his smuggling operation. Every time he crossed the border with his donkey carrying straw, that he'd be asked, "Well, what's your business?" "Oh, I'm smuggling." And they'd search him and couldn't find anything. And finally say, "Oh, he's making fun of us. Let him through." And years later, as a rich man, he met the former customs officer who said, "All those years, what were you smuggling?" And he said, "Oh, well, I would trudge across the border with a donkey full of hay, and then the next day I would come back.
I was
smuggling donkeys."
Yes. Yes.
Exactly,
yes, classic joke. These are classic jokes because they were honestly told.
They started out as those Sufi teaching tales, and people said, "Oh, this is kind of funny. Let's tell it as a joke."
And yes, we still tell these kind of tales. They're just called jokes now, and
Indeed.
yeah.
So anyway, we've listened to the poet. What else can we ask the poet about?
Well, we've asked about Rasir. We've given him back his purse. We've done all the things.
Let's ask about the beggar.
Upon that question, I would further ponder. For guidance, I suggest that these seek yonder.
The poet Omar has no answer for you. Oh, well, he doesn't have an answer to that.
No, he doesn't.
Ask about Katas.
It is whispered by the Kata that a hero has been sought by their kindred seeking elsewhere. To the city he was brought. From their homeland they were banished. Now they seek there to return, and their hero shall return them to a place they ever yearn.
Is this not their home then? The Kata were driven from their home in Rasir last year. It is said they now have a hero who shall return their home to them. Well, that kind of has happened, I think.
Huh? Rasir.
Oh, Rasir was the homeland.
Yes.
Ah. All right, ask about hero.
You may ask, what is a hero? Yet the answer's very clear. He's the one that faces fear when the darkness gathers near.
A hero will brave the very darkness for the needs of others. It's all about altruism.
Yes.
Let's see, did we have Paladin in this one?
A paladin travels where his conscience leads, quietly helping others with their needs. Not for glory, neither then for gain. Good alone shall be the judge he heeds.
A paladin goes wherever there's need and obeys only true justice and goodness. Which I think most of us got from the poem, but
Well, I know.
Speaker-
As I said,
speaker to computer.
computers.
all right. Order supper. Important things. Shima will be with you shortly with one of her splendid meals. Man, she was fast. This is the advantage of having a fixed menu.
Yes, really. And
It's
it
served
seems
at
to
night?
be the same every night. Yes.
Sort of stuffed with grapes and saffron rice and honey rabbit.
Yeah.
That's not always a supper.
Well, no, it isn't always. Sometimes it's, lamb
Falafel.
falafels.
Thanks, Shima.
There were not too many Persian restaurants in Oakhurst at the time.
Oh, we did have one in San Jose, though.
Yeah, we did.
You have a wonderful meal and numerous salads, etc.
But that wasn't exactly near us in Oakhurst. Yes.
No.
Now I'm hungry. Good. Yes, the meal descriptions in this are one of my fave. Jafar and his villainous cousin Jafar, definitely, yes.
And Jafafa is the familiar, so it's very similar.
Yes. Jafafa means laughter in Yoruba. So that's why it's Jafafa.
Yoruba is actually a district of Africa in the East Central Africa.
No,
West Central.
West
Central Africa.
It's not.
Not really.
No, it's a people that
Oh, it's a people, the Yoruban
mark-
people.
Yes.
And then Laurie decided to turn that into a country for the purposes.
Right. It's actually
Who are you?
part of Nigeria and Niger and up into the country that's right above that. And but it is a culture, and we're stealing. I mean, we are paying homage to that with the characters in Hero U, or that's what Ifeo and his auntie were from.
The palace gates are open to but few.
Only those the Sultan summons can go through.
Enter the palace by invitation only.
Not nearly as much garlic as the Hotel Mordavia serves, however. Yes. You have to go to Mordavia to get the real stuff. A poem is but words used in a different way, in which the meaning is far more than words can say.
Only words. A poem goes beyond the mere meaning of its words to express the deeper truth.
Wait, that's
Is that-
normal?
So I don't know if I can think of any more questions to ask.
I think you probably covered it all.
All right.
If you go to bed, you probably will get elemental in the morning.
All right. We have done the poet.
We have.
It's time to save the game. Oh, no. Save the game.
Save game. Poet Tonight. You can just save over Poet Tonight.
Place.
What class is the current hero? Oh, well, in theory, he's thief with some for magic.
Now, this would be a very bad idea to have replaced that save game if I had forgotten to give him that purse, because I would no longer be able to do it, maybe.
Yeah.
Except that we are still here, so maybe we
Yeah,
could.
yes, you could have there.
Sleep. The night is still young, but we'll sleep until dawn because, we need our beauty sleep.
Yes, clearly.
Awaken, much refreshed, not to mention the healing sleep.
Yes. I fear, hero friend of the Kata, the Shapir.
Oh, this should do his voices.
Okay.
I fear, hero friend of the Kata, that Shapir again needs your aid. There is talk that an elemental of the earth is destroying the city.
Flashing thief sign, and literally everyone is amusing, as I recall. We haven't been doing that. That is true.
You place your thumb upon your nose with the hand held perpendicular to the face and the fingers outspread. You then wiggle your fingers while focusing your eyes on the thumb and patting your belly with the other hand.
I'm preheating my oven in preparation for the dreaded pizza elemental. Yay!
We don't show any of that here in order not to embarrass those people with tender sensibilities. Oh, hey, did you look silly?
There we go.
There, I have done it. You happy?
Yes. Yeah.
Ask about elemental. Now, Lori doesn't eat just before bedtime. She eats early, so. Ah, hero of the north, I am but a kata. I cannot speak, upon which I do not know. You just told me about that. Ask about city.
Yeah.
I think I misspelled city.
You did, but yes, it doesn't matter.
Shapir?
It's not going to help you.
Ha! It's but an island of beauty amidst the shifting sands and timeless mountains. Well, we just ate, so we'll eat again. Because
you can.
well, I'm the model for the hero. The hero eats as much as I do.
I see.
Here comes breakfast. Coming down breakfast lane. I hope you slept well. Yes. Thanks.
All right, so we've had our breakfast.
Breakfast.
And we can go out and find that.
Your breakfast is delicious. Get up.
Find that elemental, that pesky elemental that's destroying the city. See where we can find it.
See how bad it is out here.
Yeah, this is not bad. Looks pretty normal here.
I could ask the guard about it.
No.
Flowers of beauty, flowers of fragrances most wonderful. Ask about earth elemental.
Good luck there.
Malfimt.
Amazing. Yes.
Well, maybe one of these vendors knows something about it.
Non-ed do. You can just waste your time.
Wait.
You can go ask the important people in town about it.
Let's see. Well, we have a airy magic user. We have a watery magic user.
Yeah,
we have a fiery
she usually
apothecary.
knows something about things.
Who knows about Earth, though?
I don't know.
We got an earthy character?
We got an earthy character.
Maybe Johari.
A very relatable hero.
The
city is under attack. I'm not on the clock until after breakfast.
Anyway, Scorian Slurry just said
Muffin?
stuff. No.
Oh, what did they say?
They talked about the element. I don't know, because you were reading. We know little of such things, but that we will suffer when elementals are around.
Yes. Okay.
He said it's terrible, and elemental has been somewhere. My pots are shaking with every step the earth elemental takes.
Ah, so yes, these do have something to say about it.
We know little, but we suffer when elementals are around.
There's a lot of deadly rocks strewn around the streets. We should have served you a mouse. All right.
Oh, well, this other guy only knows about fire, but we'll ask about earth.
Yeah, you can.
Ask about earth elemental. Did not notice you coming. Ah, I have heard that it was you that vanquished the amount of Aristo's flame. Perhaps you now need to know something about the element of earth. Aha! We went the right place.
Duh!
The elemental of earth is a thing of vast destructive capabilities. In my studies, I have found that to master something, you must understand it. I don't know what his accent's like. What is earth? That is what you need to know.
Duh!
Ask about earth. Watch this. See how the earth is consumed by the flames? Pretty amazing, isn't it? I'm sure there's a lesson to be learned from this, although I don't quite know what that might be. Maybe you could use some magical fire to burn magical earth. I do have some powder of burning that might work, but it's very rare and it makes such pretty flames. I'd hate to have it wasted. Now I must get back to my work. If you see something which interests you, let me know.
The flame is pretty incensed by the earth. Yeah, exactly.
Ask about powder of burning. Yeah. It's a really special mixture of potassium nitrate from bat guano, powdered charcoal, sulfur, and ambergris. Ambergris doesn't really do anything, but it makes the powder smell more interesting. This is a formula for black powder is what this is. All you have to do is throw it the earth elemental. Makes such a lovely flame when it explodes. Throw it quickly at your target. Try not to miss. It will do a lot of damage when it strikes and ignites. Gotta light it. Or maybe it's self-igniting. Did he give me some? I don't know.
No.
Maybe he did.
Ooh, mostly full. I thought they were mostly empty. One Saurus in inventory. That's what we carry in our back pocket, by the way.
Well, it's something we own. This is our.
I know.
This is our
Stuff. It's your
records.
Stuff.
It's the records department.
Ah.
Get powder of burning. Because he told me about it, but he didn't give me any. If you need something that'll be placed to sell to you, get powder.
Buy powder.
Buy. How much money do I have?
You have money.
I just got a reward.
90 dinars.
Buy powder. I only have a little left. I really couldn't part with it for any price. You really certain you need this? Yes. With fiery emotion, you explain to Harik that the earth elemental is attacking the city. At first, he seems not convinced, but your eloquence finally sways him. Since you put it that way, I guess I will just have to give you the powder of burning. Be very careful of it. You need to remember to be as far from the target as you can. You might be damaged by the reaction. It will probably take all the powder I can give you to defeat such a thing as the earth elemental. Do not waste it, and please do not miss when you throw it. Please tell me what happens when you use it. I'm sorry I can't be there, but I have much work to do. You pick up the powder of burning and put it away.
All right.
You made that hard. You just automatically get it.
You didn't.
There it is. 6 powders burning.
What do you know? 6 powders, huh?
Maybe I should have said thank you.
Maybe, but he's too busy to listen to you anyway. You gonna go north? You gotta go looking for elementals?
Yeah. Be very, very quiet. We're hunting elementals.
Elementals, yes.
Okay, should I teleport to someplace, or is it better to walk there?
Huh? You should walk what?
I should save game again.
Oh, okay.
Penetrate.
Air elemental. You could go earth elemental now.
With test earth, we can replace that with hunting earth. Wit test earth. Okay, now what did we learn from the wit test? Does anybody remember what we did to defeat the earth elemental several weeks ago?
Yes.
It was probably only 2 weeks ago.
It was only 2 weeks ago. I think, no, maybe before that.
Well, let's see. Last time we found the air elemental was in the palace plaza, so maybe it's there.
I think you have to walk the halls to find it.
Really?
Yeah, it's in the hallway.
They only attack plazas.
Oh, do they? I thought it was in the alleyways. Nope. No, well,
No, here. Okay. Report back that it's all fine.
Exactly.
No earth elemental. I clearly defeated it.
Oh, there's the other thing you could do.
My brother at my marriage, Testari, the brass merchant, had something huge chase him in the streets. It was going to his work this morning. Yeah, something huge chased his brother. But where is it? We have to walk through every street in the city. Guildhall, maybe Johari, is that her name? There's something about it.
Wrong character, Corey. Uhura.
Uhura. Her name in Swahili means freedom. Let's ask Rakesh. Ask about Earth Elemental. The Earth Elemental is the magical essence of stone and rock.
That does not sound very...
It is extremely dangerous and difficult to defeat unless you understand its nature. Ask about nature with a capital N. The nature of the earth elemental is to endure. It draws its strength from the very stones that make up this city. Now, here's a subtle thing that Lori did. It cannot be defeated by a single blow, but must be worn away through your actions and its vulnerability to magical flame, such as a flaming sword. Yeah, right. Ask about flaming sword. I asked about nature. That's a very generic question that could have had a lot of answers. But Lori designed these scripts so that there is a set of scripts for each event. The event we're in currently is Earth Elemental Day. So therefore Rakesh has answers specifically tuned to that. So if you ask about nature, he knows, the script knows that he previously mentioned the nature of the Earth Elemental. So he talks about that, as opposed to, plants and trees.
Joshua says, interesting enough, it's Elmer Fudd that's apparently the source of referring to Nimrod as an insult. Yes, and Nimrod meant hunter. And yes, and now it's, you would hear it in the cartoons as sort of like sounded like a synonym to numbskull.
My sword is called Soulforge. It is a flaming sword. Let's borrow a sword.
For some reason, I picture you here as
I will keep my sword, thank you.
Grace Jones. Must be all those times I watched Conan.
So he tells me I can defeat it with...
Yes, but we
and
don't
I'll
have
say,
it.
you go fight it.
Yes, so, yeah.
Ask about Elemental. Lily and I have been rewatching Elementary, which is a good show.
Yeah.
And Elemental is...
That's Rakesh again.
What?
It didn't answer. It's going to catch it on Rakesh now.
Ask Uhura.
I don't know. Does it parse that? Grace Jones was pretty impressive, I have to say.
Thing of very powerful magic. Only magic and skill will stop it. Well, I knew something about it, but not where it is or...
Well, you could try and find Tastari.
A story?
Tastari. He said the brass merchant. His.
The brass merchant? Somebody mentioned that?
Yes. That one. When you asked him, he said his relative.
The brass merchant was chased by it.
Yes. So maybe if you find the brass merchant.
Did we have a magic lamp with average everyday magic lamp containing a fire elemental? That's kind of magic fire.
Yes, that is kind of magic fire.
Well, if we don't see Tastari here, we'll just have to keep jumping around until we find him.
Yeah, I think you need to go from plaza to plaza. No, I have two plazas.
There's only 3 plazas.
Oh, really?
Brass. Formed of the stone of the city. Is anyone here selling brass?
No, those are pots.
What's this?
I don't know. There we go!
Tastari. As I left where I lived this morning, I heard something very large behind me. Ask about home. This won't work. Ask about thing.
Ask about elemental.
Elemental.
No, he's gonna go. Yeah. All
Yes.
right. So
You wanna know
somewhere
where he
around
lives.
here.
Probably, because he probably works near where he lives.
Right.
I'm scared. You hear rumbling.
What do you know? You found it.
Okay, now what?
Better do
The
something.
space bar.
Yes, that's good.
Okay, let's say we can throw flames at it, but I don't know if that'll be sufficient by itself. We could use the fire elemental with it. We may have to lure him into a place, was the old way of doing things.
Now we lured the fire.
The fire elemental using
insert.
incense.
Yeah.
Throw powder at elemental. Don't miss.
Wow, that was easy.
That was it?
What an anticlimax!
Get elemental. The elemental earth keeps slipping through your hands. You have nothing suitable to put it in. Uh-oh. We don't. We don't have a pot. I thought we had an empty pot.
Well, yeah, but do you know what a pot has?
Put earth in.
Pots have holes in the bottom.
Well, not the kind of pots I use. Okay, what would we store elemental earth in?
Well, it's got to store it in something. Nobody mentioned that part.
No.
And we don't have it on us. The pouch, you'd think.
I would think the...
What All right, let's look in.
Oh, I give back the pouch to the.
You did. Look in your inventory again. You can't
All
put
right.
it in.
Well, we obviously don't have the
Good
thing.
pots, dude. Drainage is important. Yes.
I got a bellows, griffin feather, magic lamp, one empty pot. That's where I would have put it. 5 powders. I only used 1. I could give the rest back, but we won't mention that to him.
No.
That was pretty useful. Okay, well, I guess we have to leave it here and hope it's still there when I come back.
Will it be?
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
You're rumbling.
Oh! It came back. Run away. Till we find something to put it. And so now you know why you needed the 5. Okay.
Flowers of beauty. Okay, flowers are not pots. And he just has magic snake. That doesn't sound too useful.
No, go up to the next
Plaza?
next plaza, not that one. The one in the middle. I think the middle one
Fountain
had
Plaza?
the liquid, yeah. And
I don't have a mouse, though.
you don't. You went wandering.
Fortunately, I caught it by its tail.
Yeah. Catch up.
Ask about container. Ask about pot. Not filmed. That's the town person. I don't want the town person.
I know.
Yeah.
Let's go down to the next section. I'm not sure that the pottery guy. I mean, you've got a pot.
And it seems like that should work. Oh, these are pots. This is the potter.
Okay, what was the one up there?
I don't know. Oh, I'm not over where I think I am. Not at the plant place. These are containers of brass. Ask about pot.
Yeah, we need a.
Sure, sells fine pottery in the plaza of the fountain.
What's he selling?
What is he selling? These look like pots.
Oh, I know.
Wares. Baskets. Would a basket work? Might
Well,
work.
might.
Buy basket. Ah, basket. You buy a basket big enough to hold a large amount of earth.
Okay.
And then we go back to, is it here? No.
No, it's just out in the alleyway. So go out the alleyway.
No, it's from this alleyway near here.
No.
Where's Tashtari?
Well, where's Tashtari?
I think it was here.
No.
That's not it?
Nope. Go back to the middle plaza. And go down to the.
Hey, too many townspeople here. I'm getting.
Don't you have to fight it again? Yes, we will have to fight it again.
No, that's okay. We've still got 5
yes,
more
it
earth.
reforms. Yeah,
5 more
reforms.
powders. Is this Tashtari? I don't think so. They said it was the brass seller. Tashtari.
Oh, that's Tasher.
Yeah.
Storian.
Everyone's told us about Tashtari. I think it was.
No, the
Right,
one
so
who
anyways.
told us about Tashtari was over by the Adventurers Guild.
Right. Is this Tashtari? It shouldn't
We're
be
good.
since.
We're really good at this, aren't we?
Ask about
Where?
wares. That's Tashtari.
Yes.
Okay, so it was near here.
Yes, so go out the exit beside him. Go hunting.
It's gone.
I think if you don't pick it up, he reforms. Yeah, it kind of showed us that. So we have to go hunting.
We could detect magic.
Yeah, you could try. Yep, never mind. Didn't need to.
Throw. Oh. I was going to use my fire elemental lamp. Don't miss.
Ah, hello, Toga Mario. Welcome. Just at the end of our
Elemental.
stream.
Elemental earth. Keep something in your hands. You have nothing suitable, put it in.
Yeah.
Put elemental in basket.
Nice try. Ooh.
It said it was suitable. You have nothing suitable to put it in, and I have a basket. And only 4 containers burning. We're going to run out before we solve this.
Direction W, Loc 2824. Corey?
What?
Look at the top of your screen.
Oh.
Hit return or run away. Glad I was able to catch you. Haven't been seeing you since the adventure game fanfare. Ah, well.
Well, maybe we are in debug mode. Maybe my
Yes, we
secular
are.
frog did work.
That did work. That's why we could see our location. What do you know? Yes, we're glad you could join us. Uh-oh. Yeah, this is embarrassing since we don't know how to play.
Nope, can't do that. That would never have worked.
What's the control?
Alt-C. Alt-C. There it is.
Ah!
Okay, so an hour or two ago, half an hour ago, I was talking about the different maps. This is our alleyway.
Oh, it doesn't matter, Corey.
We're in combat
You're
on the control
on
screen.
the control screen.
We're going to be dead soon.
You better hit run away. You know, you didn't actually pause the game.
Okay, well, I don't actually have to type it. I'll just
Okay.
type it. So we are on the black area, and that means player allowed to walk there. This white area is inaccessible. Characters cannot go there. The blue, yellow, green, and red are trigger areas. When you step into those, it says, oh, that is a transition, and something will happen. In this case, we're turning into another part of the alleyway. You don't need to retreat if you're not in combat.
Can you get out of it now that you've alt?
That's Alt B for visual.
Oh, we got away. Weirdly enough.
Let us go back to, you said it was in the Fountain Plaza?
What?
The guy we just talked to.
Yes, Fountain Plaza.
And of course, it flipped us, so we're actually not going the way we think we are.
Oh, neat. The secret other dimension, yes.
Anyway, so there's a control map, a visual map, and a priority map.
We're going to MagFest next weekend. But
Ask
after
about
that,
container.
we're going to talk about fanfare.
Brass is a mixture of copper and zinc. Minerals most plentiful. How many drink left?
Yeah, but lamp was used to contain the fire elemental. I don't think we used a lamp again. Do you need a shovel? That would be useful too, but I don't remember any shovels in the game.
I don't think there's a shovel in the game.
Maybe the plant. Maybe the plant person has a
Maybe
shovel.
you have to find a hint book.
Oh yeah.
You people are supposed to be our hint book.
Yes, people said too long since I played. Yeah, I know. Exactly. It's been a long time. Yes. So anyway, I was going to say, Corey is supposed to write an article about fanfare, and I have all those photos I took of people, a lot of people, including fans, that we met for that.
Clearly, we'll need to get a hint.
Mm-hmm. I mean, who designed this game, really?
Welcome, Jester.
All right. Toga says, I'm working to be able to afford attending the next fanfare. Space Venture doesn't pay much, even though they've doubled my salary 10 times already this year. Yeah, but it's 10 times what? 10 times 1 doesn't make a lot of
Well,
money.
10 times sounds pretty good, but 10 times 0, not so much.
Yeah, I've never actually beaten Quest for Glory 2. It was too hard as a kid.
Actually,
Yeah,
doubling 10 times is a lot. That's 1,000 times.
And Brainiac says, if you insist, head to the Fighters Plaza. Thank you very much. But you should talk to her. Did you say, yes, be polite. I presume the basket won't work because it has holes. Yeah, I guess that would, to me, baskets are not usually for dirt. Although,
yes, question.
People actually cooked in baskets in the Southwest, so it can be used if you do it right. But usually you put, something like...
Let's try with switching the direction. Just ask about elemental earth. I'd rather talk about something else. Ask about earth elemental. No? Perhaps it'd be as well to show you. The essence of earth is strength. Must be worn away before it can be captured.
I was waiting for the remake and haven't yet finished it, yeah.
It must be best contained in the type of cloth sack used to haul sand in this city.
Okay, well, we sure didn't know that. around.
Thanks. Bye.
Yes. You've got some time before the next fanfare. Still lots of planning to do. Wow, that was such a to-do. That was amazing. You know.
Cloth bag. Where's the cloth merchant?
Well, somebody said something about going fighters thing. And he looks like he sells leather, but...
Ask about bag. The bags I have are woven so fine they can carry the sand and plaster used to repair the city walls. Yet strong enough they will not break under so much weight. They cost but 50 centimes. How many bags do we need? 20 of them to hold that much? You pay for the cloth bag and put it away. We should need 20 of them, but fortunately, we're teleporters.
Togo says, I want to go from Quest Glory 1 all the way to 5 with the same character at least once in my life. I don't think we've actually ever done that. And we've had a long life, too. No, we always remake these characters. We never import them when we play these things because we never get to the end, generally, with our playthroughs, yes. And,
well, last time I turned right, so I'll turn left this time.
Tawajia said they did it last year. It's a treat. Oh, you found a dead end and no elemental. Where are these elementals when you want them? I need a paladin playthrough. I've never done one. Yes.
A rumbling.
Yeah.
Okay, throw.
A single bag of holding. That's what we needed. Yes.
Don't bump me when I do this.
Yeah, you might miss.
And I was warned not to miss. Mm-hmm. So you can temporarily get earth. You carefully put the elemental away in the cloth bag. But there's still stuff on the ground.
That text on the top bar means debug mode is on. Yeah, that's what we realized. Yeah, I came close. Have to start over.
I already got him, but that's beside the point. Control I. We now have
a bag of magic earth.
Do you see that?
No.
Because it's
probably, yeah.
One bag with earth elemental. The essence of the earth elemental. Where do we take that?
Where do you think? At least I remember that part.
Magic shop? I don't know.
At any rate, it's 4:30.
Does that mean we don't take it anywhere?
You're going to take it to the inn and sleep for the night and save for the game.
With a bag with an earth elemental that reforms in my bedroom? No way.
It's in a bag.
I'm going to turn it in. Who do I turn it into?
You don't, Corey.
You don't?
You don't turn it into anything. You have to use it in the proper place to solve a proper problem.
I see.
Yes. Small bug, but if you bring multiple cloth bags, you can pick up the
Sunset
earth
approaches.
elemental,
Well, I guess
drop the bag, pick up more elemental, and every time you do, the elemental threat counter increases by 1. Oh, that's interesting. It doesn't...
Elemental threat counter. So
I didn't know there was such a thing.
Maybe that tells which elemental you're on.
Yeah.
All right, fine. I'll go back to the inn, even though it's really stupid.
Well, it's not like you can deal with it now.
Welcome, hero. Show elemental.
Right. Yeah.
1,000 parties. At least he calls me offendy. That's because he's offended by my lines.
A little earth elemental party. Yeah, it breaks up. Yes, if you put it into multiple bags, then you get tiny little earth elementals, and you can throw them at things. Is the new Summer Days listed on Steam?
She made knockwurst and sauerkraut.
Oh, isn't that sweet?
Thanks.
I guess.
Serve earth elemental.
I don't know if the new Summer Days is listed on
Maybe the
Steam.
earth elemental will get it. Put food in bag. Darn it, this game doesn't understand anything.
Summer Days Tilly's Tale is definitely on Steam. I don't know. Unfortunately, you never really cared for sauerkraut and knockwursts, but you're too polite to tell Shima that. You must admit that the honey and lemons on the knockwurst aren't bad, but the sauerkraut curry is a bit much.
I think sauerkraut curry would be great, personally.
Yes. If you don't like knockwurst, hero, can I have it?
Don't knock it until you tried it.
I don't think I've ever actually eaten knockwurst.
You haven't?
No.
I'm sure you have.
No, because unless it's just a hot dog in a with
More or less.
Okay,
It's
fine.
like a fat hot dog.
Okay, fine.
Welcome, hero.
All right. That is the worst pun I ever heard. Yes.
Ah, the worst pun, I
Yes.
see.
Yes. All right.
What's,
So, any rate.
what's sausage the goose is sausage the gander.
Uh-huh.
Have a good day
And
today.
we will save this game and wrap this up.
Kiss Shima right in front of her husband.
Yeah.
Yeah, no reason to do that.
Oh, well.
Thanks. Yeah, I do, but it's so good.
I mean, she went out of her way to help. I mean, and so, yes, if you actually, pay attention, she does actually make things that are other than Persian food. With a twist of Persian to it.
Save game.
Okay. We've
First
Earth out. Earth out. Earth down.
Down to earth.
Down to earth.
Down earth.
Okay, fine. At any rate.
So, how do you get down off a horse?
Down off a
Donkey? How do you get down off a donkey?
Saurus.
How do you get down off a Saurus?
Yes. You don't. You get down off a goose.
Duck.
Goose. Goose down. Duck down. Goose down, usually. All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
for showing up.
We'll be back in 2 weeks if we're if we survive. Our,
we don't. Yes, we don't freeze to death.
we plan on being back in 2 weeks.
And yes, we will plan on 2 weeks. We'll be at
And
MagFest.
we'll see
this
OSU.
yeah.
Maniac.
And
But I probably forgot what you look. I sort of remember what you look like, but
yeah.
but that's
I
okay.
have your photo.
You'll introduce yourself so we don't forget.
Yes, right. Enjoy the convention. We will try. I think it'll be exciting, and we'll bring pictures. And as I said, Corey needs to do the write-up of fanfare for the next Patreon. And
I didn't already do that?
No, you never did. And I've got a whole set of photos to show.
Oh, okay. I showed like 4 photos from it.
Yeah, but we want to show the whole thing.
Okay.
At any rate, thanks
so
much.
I did a short report. I'll do the long report.
We will see you next time.
You'll be masked again. That's wise of you. We should do that. We should be wearing a mask the entire convention.
Yes, and you
so
should,
nobody knows who we are.
And don't freeze to death. So take care, have fun, and see you next time. Bye bye.
Be well.
End stream.
Oh, I can't.
You can't
I'm on
because
the
you
other window.
can't get out.
I can't get out.
Get out of the game. Can't win. Can't break even, and can't get out of the game.
Quit.
Bye bye.
If it's time to split, quit. Ah, the game is gone. Now I can end stream.
Now we can end stream. Bye. You
We
didn't
should
end
be
it
back.
yet. You didn't end
We
it
should
yet.
be